Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pipeline. Brand new episode, kind of episode one, not episode one, but kind of a fresh start to the podcast. Welcome to the Pipeline with Darren and Taz. A little bit of a name change. Taz, we're finally in the intro. We're finally in the title of our own podcast. How does it feel?
It feels good. Like we've nicely rebranded. It's very I've been promoted to a title character, so that's very fun and everything like that. And it's nice to just have like a little bit of a fresh start, a little bit of a rebrand here, and we're just gonna keep moving, keeping that momentum up.
Absolutely, you're still getting $0 and 0 cents. Have fun with that.
I can buy myself some nice holographic meatloaf, Plankton's favorite.
Our favorite unpaid intern. Absolutely. I'm very excited. I've been kind of working on it throughout the week and excited to bring in some kind of new concepts. Like, I think just over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying my best to kind of rebrand all the how we're approaching things. And I'm very excited to I want to bring you in more in the like creative aspects, because you have so many great ideas. You have so many things that you want to apply. And I'm very excited to do that. And we sprinkled a little bit of that in this week, because like normally if I was by myself, I'd be like, no Star Wars. I don't know anything about Star Wars, but we have like a good like 3 topics on Star Wars today.
Yeah.
And I'm
very delve into the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah, and I'm very curious in coming weeks to see what we do, and just the rebrand in general. One Marvel fan in the house. They say hello there, Marvel fan. Hi. How's it going? It's been a week. It's been a weird week in Hollywood in general. I mean, just these last couple, I would say 2 months have been weird. And I think a lot of the news this week has kind of like, there hasn't been a lot, but there's been a lot, but it's all kind of been surrounded with one topic and the consequences of that topic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which we will talk about. And I want to talk about that in good detail, because I do think that is very important to talk about. But before we dive into that, we have a message from our good friend Darren overseas. So last week you took a week off, right?
No, I was scroll you were scroll me.
Yeah,
the real me was, I guess, somewhere shaving his face.
Well, I think I know where he was. So he sent me this photo today. So I guess he joined the Power Rangers. Scroll you and Scroll me, apparently, with our friends Hugh Jackman and Deadpool and Cowgirl Barbie and Blue Beetle, who's getting a new movie. So they're looking like they're having a great time. I guess I wonder if they're striking with all the amazing writers and actors.
Definitely. I think they are definitely in for that very good cause.
Absolutely. And yeah, I guess that's a great transition to kind of our first topic. So yeah, I mean, starting what I think it was Friday, I think.
Yeah, I believe last Friday.
Thursday, Friday. The SAG-AFTRA, they've officially gone on strike along with the writers, and over 160,000 entertainment workers across the United States. Now, this has obviously been something that we heard could be happening for a while. The writers have obviously been there for a minute, and they've been doing their best. But this week feels like once the actors got involved, everyone's like, oh, this is now a thing. Now we have to care. Which has been, and I think I'm also like, I put myself in that shoes as well, where it's like, okay, like now that the actors are on strike, now we need to care. Now we need to, like, this is a big thing. And I honestly, going into it, I thought they would have come to a deal before the actors got involved, because it, like, in Hollywood, it always kind of felt like Hollywood cared about their actors and no one else. That's what it always felt like to me. So I kind of was thinking, okay, they'll come to a deal before the actors get involved and they'll give them what they want. But no, I mean, kind of, how are you feeling about the whole situation? It's been about a week now. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, It's definitely become a lot more mainstream than the original writer's strike was, because this is something that's happened in Hollywood before. There was a big writer's strike around, like, I believe it was the mid 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of affected TV for quite a while there. There were seasons cut short. There were, lower budgets, that type of thing. So we've kind of been through that in some aspect before. So we kind of all thought that, okay, we're going to go through a very similar process. We came up to, I believe, halfway through the length of that original writer strike. And then now we've had the actors also get involved, and now it's become a massive thing. Not only are the writers on strike, but the actors are as well, and they're just really kind of trying to expose the hardships that they all face in Hollywood today, and it's just the kind of awful work environment, it seems like, and just how little care the studios and executives seem to have for these people that allow the business to run the way it does. Like, without the writers, without the actors, without the directors, we would not have the big Hollywood movie projects, TV projects, everything that we, come to know and love and enjoy. And without them, Hollywood wouldn't run the way it does. And it unfortunately seems like the studio executives don't see it that way. They just are in it for the money, for the business aspect, and they seemingly don't care about these talented creatives that are being impacted by such just awful circumstances.
Yeah, no, I think again, we talked a lot about this yesterday, but there's just so much that I don't think I fully understood that went into what's happening behind the scenes. I don't think no one has until recently. Like, I think with the special effects people really struggling and the writers not getting paid, and again, actors, like, I always was under the under the influence that actors get paid great and they're rich and all this stuff, but that's only the top percent, right?
Yeah, that's the top 1% of actors. Most of them are, people we've never heard of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you hear about Orange is the New Black, which was one of the most popular shows of all time, one of Netflix's highest shows ever, and half of them had to get second or third jobs just to pay their bills. That is absurd. That is insane. And I think it's something I know the Runaway show. I don't know if you watched that show at all, but they had talked about how their show was just gone in an instant, and no one told them about it. All years of their life, years of hard work put in for what, and that stuff is always very frustrating to hear. And there is something I think kind of inspiring about hearing everyone kind of come out and tell their stories and kind of stand together. It does really feel like it's everyone versus the evil CEOs, which is something you would see in a Hey Arnold episode or something, which is really inspiring to see. And then just seeing this, how these companies are addressing it, and which I would say I think they're addressing it in probably the worst way possible. I cannot think of a worse way for them to handle these situations, where you have just Bob Iger and stuff like that being yeah, they're asking way too much, they suck, and you have these other people being yeah, we're just going to make them lose their houses, we're going to make them go homeless, and then we can win this thing. And yeah, no, it's I think it's a nasty situation, and I think anyone that I have on here, I think, would all agree that we're all in stance with the writers and the actors.
Full support in just every aspect of this to get these creatives the compensation that they deserve, to give them a better work environment, and to hopefully what will come from this is that just the state of Hollywood will change, kind of.
Yeah.
The viewpoint of a lot of these studios will hopefully change as well, and they will realize the value of these people and the hard work and dedication that they've devoted to all of these projects. And again, as somebody who loves movies and TV shows and the creative process and would love to become an actor, a writer, a director in the future, it's just very disheartening to see how these people are treated. And again, while this is an awful scenario, I really hope that the best scenario can come from it, and that they will just be better for it in the end, while unfortunately they have to go through this difficult time.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I do hope this is a moment, and I think this is going to be a moment in history no matter what. But I'm very curious, in 10 years, will we look at this as like, oh, this is the end of cinema? Or is this the moment that people stood up for their rights and people stood up for better pay? And I think we're going to be studying this, like these events in some time, and I hope it's for the
Oh
better.
yeah.
I think I think this year just in general could be a massive year for like what changed films, because I also think
Mm-hmm.
we're realizing this year, not to go off topic, but like the budget of movies, and I think people are finally realizing not every movie needs to be like a sequel. Not every movie needs to be a reboot, a grand franchise. I think people are finally being like, you know what, we like original movies as well. We like original projects as well, and some of those smaller, more independent movies seem to be doing really good right now, right?
Yeah.
You know, not all your big superhero blockbuster cameo fests are what people are always craving, and I think that's really interesting. I think once we come out of this, we'll see a new, almost like a new start to film and TV, which I'm very curious to see.
Yeah, kind of like a rebirth of the
Mm-hmm.
industry, if you will.
Yep, absolutely. Stranger actually brings up a really good point here, and she said, I think it was about why people are noticing it more, and they said it's because social media, that it's so mainstream now. I That's actually a really good point, because in what 2003, 2005,
Something
7,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, social media wasn't as big as it was, and I think social media just changes everything all around. Like,
Oh yeah.
just look, I know cancel culture is a big topic right now, and a big topic in just everything. And I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, well, we didn't used to have cancel culture." And the thing is, we did. Just people, it wasn't as advertised, right? Like if you
Right.
do something bad, there weren't thousands of people that could be like, "Yo, this is not right. You should stop that." And it feels like that's this on such a large scale. Like that's this, but with CEOs for the first time, and I think that's
Right.
really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot more publicity this time around, just because of the nature of the internet and the fact that we are all always online, always looking at
Yeah.
the next big story. And I think that in a lot of ways this will help the case as well, just because there's so many people not in this industry that are now being
Yeah.
informed of what's going on and are able to stand up for what is right and stand
Hmm.
beside these writers and actors and help them along with this journey.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It was really funny because I went into work the other day, and I saw a coworker that I don't normally talk to about like film or internet or anything. Like they don't know I'm very into movies and stuff. And he just came up and he's like, "So, how long do you think this actor strike is going to last?" And it's like, I don't know, could be a while. And it's kind of funny to see, like, it seems
Yeah,
to
it's
be out, it
very
seems to be,
mainstream.
yeah, it's going further than just our circle, because I think I've like conditioned my mind to be like, okay, this is what the internet thinks, and then that's what the mainstream audience thinks. But this is everyone. Like everyone's
Yeah.
involved, everyone knows what's happening, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a really good direction as far
Mm,
as just the fact that it's being so, I wouldn't say, I guess not televised, but just projected out there, I guess
yeah.
is really the best term. Is it's the information is widespread. We kind of are able to really take in just the difficult situation and what is the issue right now in Hollywood, and be able to kind of stand up against that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I hope this is a lot more short lived than we all thought. I hope by like a month we can be like, okay, let's
Yeah.
give them what they want. I hope this isn't a thing that's going to be dragged out over. Like I've heard some people say like early 2024, and that's like worst case scenario. I think I think even
Right.
worst case, like we're already hearing like, I don't know if it's because the writer's strike, but I heard that the studio that produced Joker, it just filed for like bankruptcy. Um, and stuff like that. So I didn't know if that was because of the writer strike and the actor strike, or is that?
And it might be fallout from it.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a lot of that. Like I saw an article today where like every day they don't do something, they are losing thousands upon thousands of dollars. And
yeah.
What loses them more money? Not filming and not putting stuff out, or like paying your writers and actors better.
Yeah,
so
I hope they come to that realization sooner rather than later, and we can, you know, kind of put this behind us, and, you know, again, these creatives can just be fairly paid. And I think that's the bottom line is literally the studios need to just get out of their own way and pay your employees what they deserve.
100%. I'm also very curious what we're doing with like AI as well, because that's obviously a big talking point where, especially this year, it feels like AI has really took over and been a big topic, you know, for people to talk about. I think that's one of the more important ones. Obviously, you need to pay your actors and writers, but I think the fear of AI in our entertainment is so scary, because I think that could easily be the death of cinema, the death of entertainment.
I mean, luckily right now it's not at the point where it can replace actual people writing scripts or actually acting or anything like that. It's very noticeable when AI is used nowadays. But, you know, what's to say that it becomes indistinguishable in the next, you know, however long. So that is a scary thought, but I think at the moment it shouldn't be, you know, a go-to for these studios, and it should not be a fear of people in the industry, but that is definitely something to monitor as we progress in that technology.
Yeah. I mean, I won't say okay, because I don't like when it's used, but like if it's used for very small things, just to help out your technology, then I'm not completely against it. But there needs, like, I am very hard right now against it, just because I don't want to support what it could become. Like, if we can get to a point where it's like, okay, we can do this, but that's it. It can't go any further than that spot. Then I could be like, okay, we can maybe move forward. And I think that's what needs to be done. There needs to be in contracts where, like, my job cannot be taken over by AI in 10 years, right? I think that needs to be set in stone.
Right. And they can't do this whole thing of, like, you know, paying an extra for one day just to get a full scan of them and then just AI generate them from there on out. Like, that needs to be very much so frowned upon.
Yeah, and, you know, there's also that fear that has been happening for a while, where, like, could you just bring actors back from the dead with AI, right? Could you make
we kind of saw the beginnings of that with the Flash movie, and a couple things came out today, and it seems like Jay Garrick was basically AI generated. So that was, I mean, I see Stranger brings up a good point that it could be a helpful tool, but it shouldn't replace these writers. That is definitely just kind of hitting the nail on the head right there.
Absolutely.
That's exactly as it should be used, as a tool.
I mean, that's all I kind of have. I know we talked about it a lot yesterday as well, but I thought it was very important to bring it up. Obviously,
just kind of touch base on it and just kind of know, address the issue at hand.
Like, obviously, like it was a weird one, because I was like, how many articles should I bring up about this? Because there's so much. Like, I could bring up how Deadpool 2 has stopped filming and how this stopped filming, but basically everything stopped filming.
Everything's on pause for the foreseeable future until a deal is met.
I think I forgot to put it in my thing, but I also did want to bring up, it's not funny, but it is a little silly. At the Haunted Mansion premiere, they had the Disney characters dress up from, like, the parks and attend the premiere instead of your actors and directors and writers, which I thought was insanity. I thought that was kind
definitely not in great taste.
No, I feel bad for those actors as well, because of course they have to be there. But I wonder what they knew about what was going on. They're just like, whatever, I'm getting paid a whole bunch of money.
You gotta just do what the mouse tells you, I guess.
I wonder how long that's going to go on for. Like, I can imagine if it goes on to like November, like you have those like actors who play the Marvel characters inside of the parks. You have fake Brie Larson and fake Miss Marvel walking around.
I hope we don't get to that point, but we shall see. We shall see.
I feel really bad for Haunted Mansion because like that's an almost $200 million budget, I think.
Yeah.
Which is absurd. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for it.
I've seen the trailers for it. I do think it's very weird that a Haunted Mansion movie is coming out in the middle of July.
Oh yeah, sure.
October.
October, yeah. I guess they were aiming for that blockbuster season.
Yeah.
It's weird because I was actually really excited for this movie. I just think it looks fun. Like it just looks like a fun, like I've heard it's actually like kind of scary for like a Disney movie, and I think the actors that they've chosen for it, like I love Danny DeVito and I love Owen Wilson. I love the
I mean the cast is definitely like the biggest draw for me, but I think that'll be a Disney Plus watch for me.
That's very fair. That's very fair. We also have Blue Beetle, which is I feel like they might not be hurt as much because they did just get that second trailer out, and Yolo did get his announcement thing being like, yo guys, go promote this movie. I'm not saying it's not do well, but I think it may just do as well as it would have done anyway without maybe a couple of other promotion stuff.
I mean, it didn't seem like the studio was promoting it very much to begin with, so
yeah,
I think at the end of the day it was kind of always up to the fans to promote this movie. But I hope that it does not negatively impact the box office for them. But again, that's kind of a watch and see what happens.
One Marvel fan says, I think Haunted Mansion was originally a November film, but it switched places with the Marvels, which would make sense. If that is the case. Even like November though seems like a weird time because I think it would have done even worse then because you have like
then all
Dune
your like
Part
holiday
2.
Holiday movies and stuff like that coming out.
I like when they announced this, I figured it was like a Disney Plus original because that just kind of felt like where a film like that would go. Fits the style with what they were doing, but I guess when you have your Owen Wilson and your Danny DeVito's and all that big cast, and again a $200 million budget, I think it's easy to say they're not going to make it back. I think that's going to be another loss for Disney, unfortunately, especially going against like your Barbie and your Oppenheimer and
Barbenheimer's gonna sweep the box office.
Barbie is looking to do like insanely well. Like I think
it's gonna do better than Oppenheimer. Like it definitely has a much broader appeal than Oppenheimer. Like, I mean, obviously I'm all for like these big like cinematic magnum opus masterpieces and everything like that. Christopher Nolan obviously is a big draw, but I mean, how many people are really going to go sit down and go through this 3-hour epic when you can just, turn your brain off and go watch Barbie?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm actually very impressed with Barbie because I wasn't sure how it's going to do because I do think it's kind of a testament to how we've grown as a society because I don't think it would have done as well 15 years ago because they're like how many dads or like men are going to go see a Barbie movie. And I would hope that we've grown as a society that men can enjoy Barbies and
I'm going to go sit in the theater, watch Barbie with my pink t-shirt and nobody's going to say anything about it.
Yeah, no, and I love how it looks like that, and I wonder how much of it is just the like meme of it as well. Like
I think a lot of the draw is the meme. I think it's you'll get a lot of people doing that double feature. I think it like that's like a 7-hour investment or something crazy like that, but people are gonna do it, and it's gonna be hilarious. And I'm just looking forward to seeing kind of like the big reactions. Like I know a lot of the early reviews and stuff have come out, and both movies have seemingly gotten very, very positive reception. So I'm excited. It's going to be a fun time.
yeah. I'm there Saturday afternoon. I'm so ready to spend 8 hours of my life sitting on my butt. Yeah, no, but I think Oppenheimer is like, I know that they were upset that it was coming out the same day, and I guess they tried to move it.
Yeah.
But I think it's the best thing that could happen to
Oh yeah, they
Oppenheimer.
kind of made the
Yeah.
best of a bad scenario and just kind of marketed both of these movies together. Like there was even those pictures of like the cast with tickets for each other's movies and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like they're just supporting each other, and it's very fun. And it just, again, a great time for people who love movies. And also, I saw the thing with Oppenheimer, like the big like 70 millimeter film and like that giant film reel, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's actually quite the opposite to what we normally see, because normally when there's two films that come out very close to each other, it's like, oh, who's going to do better? Who's going to win?
mm-hmm.
Like when it came to Spider-Verse and Flash, like everyone's like, okay, which superhero multiverse movie's better? And everyone's like, Spider-Verse is better. But like, I think under normal circumstances, this would have been like one fandom against another. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that. Everyone just
No,
wants
not
to
at
see
all.
both, which is great.
Yeah, it's just whether or not you're doing the double feature or you're seeing them
Yeah.
separately. Like I think everybody has some interest in both films, whether they see them both in the theaters or they see one and wait for the other one to come out later. Like I think it's,
Mm-hmm.
again, it's just a great time to see both of them kind of be able to promote each other in a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's move on. Kind of related to this topic. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. But Netflix has canceled their $300 million live action Masters of the Universe movie. Netflix has gone very gung ho on their He-Man properties. I know they already did like 2 shows that were pretty
Yeah.
widely received. I think Netflix having this high of a budget of a movie is very dumb. Um,
Yeah.
like
That's a lot.
I know their Red Notice was like really expensive as well. But it made it all back because it was this like massive hits, and maybe they're trying to do that again. I know they spent a lot on like their like Knives Out buyout, like that was one of their highest purchases ever. So maybe they're like, He-Man, everyone's gonna come and watch it on Netflix. But I think after this year, I think everyone's realizing $300 million for a movie is absurd. It's too much money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, especially for a movie like this. I mean, I feel like, 150 million
Mm-hmm.
tops, 200 maybe if you're pushing it. But like what are you doing with $300 million for a movie unless it's like 5 hours long with the greatest CGI you've ever seen?
Yeah.
Like what are you spending all that money on? Again, also
Absolutely.
for a
Yeah.
Netflix movie. Like not that like not to like kind of take away from that, but it's a very different, like, I guess, way of making money
Mm-hmm.
than releasing in a theater. You have to have people subscribe to the service. Like how many people are going to subscribe to the service just to watch this movie?
With that much money, you may as well just make a show. Do the
Yeah.
like whole Stranger Things where like each episode is like $55 million or like whatever it is,
Yeah.
I'm curious because I think He-Man can be a brand. Like I think
Oh
He-Man
yeah.
can be a big franchise for Hollywood. And I heard that they're shopping around to other studios, and this feels like one I could see someone else, if it's like a Warner Brothers or something. I don't really know how the rights work and who can buy and whatever. But I like the idea. I didn't grow up on He-Man at all. That wasn't a franchise I grew up on or anything. But I know friends who love this character. I know there's so many like die-hard He-Man fans and She-Ra fans. So I mean,
Skeletor.
yeah, I hope it finds a new home. I hope maybe
Yeah.
like after the Shrek, we could be like, all right, we're gonna take this movie, but like give it a 150 budget or something.
Yeah, and I just also don't know how much of an audience there is for this in live action coming from an animated project. And like there's obviously different directions that people want to take the franchise and everything like that. But again, I feel like a show like this will work better in animation. So going to live action, obviously I see where that big budget came from, because they're trying
Yeah.
to replicate all the freedom that
The
they
worlds,
had.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
One Marvel fan says, outside of Avatar and maybe Avengers, I don't see many projects needing that kind of budget. Yeah, I agree. I think your Avatar, your Avengers, even your like I could see like The Flash, why a movie like The Flash would need like a 300 million, right? Especially if you're doing all your Batmans and your Supermans, stuff like that. So I think the big comic booky movies might, but I think after this year, like I don't know if studios will let them. You know, I think,
Yeah, because it might be too much of a risk to spend that much
yeah,
money on a movie without any guarantee of even breaking even.
yeah, I think you're right about Avengers and Avatar, because those are two properties. I think you can put that almost anywhere, and it's guaranteed at least a billion. I think
Oh yeah, I
maybe.
mean, nowadays an Avengers movie, I think you're pretty much guaranteed at least like the 800 million to a billion
Yeah,
range.
yeah, absolutely. I think I'm actually kind of very curious when Avengers time comes, because like with Secret, I don't mean to dive into Marvel
Oh
stuff
yeah,
yet, but
yeah.
like Secret Invasion right now isn't doing well. Not a lot of people are watching it. And I think there is a MCU fatigue that's going on. A lot of people are like, all right, I'm signing out. But I wonder when it comes to Avengers time, if there's going to be millions of people who are like, I got to catch up on everything. I
Well,
need
I
to
think
experience this event.
once they start advertising like all these returns, all these cameos and everything like that, I think that'll
Yeah.
bring people back. And just because it's a big event film, I think that those
Mm-hmm.
draw in a lot of people. Like I think especially like Infinity War and Endgame drew in a much broader crowd than just,
Mm,
people invested in
yeah.
the MCU. Like people that aren't even a fan of superhero movies are just like, oh, what's this big Avengers Endgame thing?
Yeah.
I'll go check it out to see what's going on. And then I think that really got a lot of people into the MCU as well. I
100%.
know a lot of people dropped off after Endgame, but I think it did also kind of like broaden the horizons.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had like students in school that were like, I'm just going to see Endgame. I was like, oh, are you caught up? He's like, nope. You know, they've just seen nothing previously. They just kind of jump into these two movies.
You caught up on the other 22 Marvel movies?
Which, yeah, I mean, that's also a thing where like MCU has doubled since then, right? So like if you
Yeah.
kind of dropped off at Endgame and you're like, oh, all right, I'll check into King
Yeah, now
Dynasty, and it's like, oh,
movies and
67
shows and
projects.
animated things, and it's just like
Yeah.
there's so much now. It's definitely becoming
A lot.
almost a chore to watch and to keep up with everything. But I think the best position that I've taken is to realize you don't have to watch everything.
No.
Is you can kind of pick and choose, you can stay up to date with things, but if a specific project doesn't interest you, or you just don't have time to keep up with the latest thing, you don't have to.
Mm.
You don't have to see every movie in the theaters. Like they'll come out on Disney Plus. You don't have to see every show right when it releases. You can binge it later on. Like it's not,
Yeah.
it's not required homework reading material or anything like that. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to pick and choose which aspects of it you want to indulge in.
Absolutely. This is actually kind of a topic that we're bringing up in a little later inside our stream, because there's been a news came out this week about the future of Marvel and Star Wars that I kind of want to bring up. But let's kind of move on a little bit away from the writer strike, because I do want to. Sorry, I'm bringing up the article. Uh, I want to talk about, now I don't know if you're a fan of this franchise or not, but we'll see in a second. And that's The Last of Us. Now, The Last of Us got official updates for season 2, which I'm very excited for. Taz, are you a fan of The Last of Us? Did you play the games? Did you watch the first season?
My brother is a massive fan. He
Okay.
got my dad to watch the series, which is a massive thing. My dad doesn't watch very many TV shows, so the fact that he watched the entire thing and he loved it, my brother loved it. My brother loves both of the games. He's trying to get me into it. I saw like a few things from the series. Like I saw some, like when I was just passing through the room and they were watching it, I'd take a look for a few minutes. I'm trying to play through the first game on my PS5. I got the remaster,
Okay.
the remake, or whatever. I got through like the first maybe a few hours of the game, and then I had to put it on pause because Jedi Survivor came out, and then I just haven't gone back to it since. So
Okay, fair enough.
it's on my list. It's on my radar. I know how massive of a franchise this is, and just how how many or how broad of an audience it has from the games, from the series, bringing people together for it. So
Sure. Yeah, no, I love the first game. I'm still playing through the second game because I'm really still playing games. I've been playing it for like a year and a half, almost 2 years now, because it is a long game and I'm very slow at playing games. But very excited for season 2. I will try and talk about all of these without spoiling the show for you. I'll try my best.
I know what happens. Like I've known what happens in this this stuff for forever because I can't avoid it.
Yeah,
My brother's a walking spoiler alert. No offense.
There's some things in here you might not know, so we'll try. Okay, so season 2, episode 1 was written before the strike, and that's it. So I'm very concerned. Not concerned because I know the show's still going to come out, but like we heard like before it was going to be a 2025 thing for season 2,
Mm-hmm.
and now that the strike is out, it's like, oh, probably
it's
even
gonna
longer.
it's gonna
26,
be a while.
27. It's basically like a movie by this point where it's like, oh yeah, it's like 5 years between movies.
Yeah.
Which
there could be another Last of Us game before this next season comes out at this point.
Which I think actually might happen. I'll actually talk about that in a minute because there's a couple updates here. But of course, the first episode's written. I'm glad they at least have a jump on maybe some other shows. Like I know Super and Lois doesn't even have, like they can't even write their new season. Which is quite frustrating. They also said that there won't be another Bill and Frank episode this season, which, you know, there's something kind of sad about that, but also with what happens in season 1 makes sense.
I know that was one of the fan favorite episodes.
It's my favorite. It's honestly one of my favorite episodes of like anything ever. Like I loved, like it's just like a one-off. It's kind of like just like a short film. Like you can just kind of put on episode 3.
It was like a whole flashback episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of. It kind of like I feel like you can not play the games, not watch the show. You could just put on that episode and be like, all right, that was an Oscar-winning short film. Great. So that all makes sense. I know there's some things that people wanted to see in the game with them that we didn't get to see in the show, but it is what it is. They've said that season 3 is planned, which we've heard for a while. They've talked about splitting game 2 up into two different
seasons,
possibly 3 seasons, which would be kind of absurd.
And I know also how expansive that second game is.
No, absolutely. And also just like I think what their plan might be is there's going to be such a wait in between games or seasons, and splitting those seasons into 2 parts. I think that what the plan might be is to wait until the 3rd game comes out, and then you can adapt the 3rd season into like 2 or 3 games like seasons. So I think that's might be what we're dealing with there. And also that season 2 has more clickers and perhaps different kinds. Monsters are always fun. I know that's a thing that people complained about in the first season, is that there wasn't enough of the fight scenes that were in the game. Obviously there's going to be a lot more fight scenes in the game because that's what you're there for. And the show really did focus more on the story of The Last of Us, which is my favorite parts of The Last of Us. Like as fun as the fighting is and as fun as the action is, there is, I think, the like connection between characters. I don't know how far you are into the first game, but there is something between these characters that are so special just to watch on screen.
Yeah. The story aspect of the game is definitely stands out a lot more to me than the gameplay. Maybe I'm just bad at the game, which is definitely a possibility. I know I'm not very good at it, but yeah, I've enjoyed the story quite a bit as far as I've played.
Miata says, and I'm excited for The Last of Us season 2. Enjoyed season 1. Yeah, no, I love season 1. It's still my favorite show of 2023 so far. I almost forgot what year it is. Still my favorite. I have a hard time believing there'll be anything else that comes out. Like I think if Super and Lois didn't beat my top show, I don't know if anything could by this point.
Ahsoka. That'll be the series of the year.
I doubt that very much. At least for me. For you, it might be.
For me, it might be.
I doubt it. I but maybe I was like, this is my favorite Star Wars thing ever. It's amazing. Maybe.
We shall see.
Moving right along here, Blue Beetle diving into some DC. So apparently Warner Brothers executives considered delaying Blue Beetle to next year, but have ultimately decided against it. So kind of funny this came out this week because we had actually talked about this topic kind of last week, where I had said I still wish it came out after Superman Legacy and kind of waited for them to really adapt this DCU further before we have this kind of be our first project. And I think there's still a lot of negativities after The Flash and just like the Zack Snyder stuff still, and I almost thought it maybe would have done better if you pushed it to next year. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think they should have waited, or are you happy that it's coming out now?
I'm happy that it's coming out now. Like, I don't really think it matters where in the timeline it releases, just because of the fact that it is going to be so disconnected. While it is in the new DCU, it's not directly correlating to anything that we're going to be seeing in Legacy, at least what we know of at the moment, because this movie was already made. It was already in development well before James Gunn and Peter Safran came in to their new positions and everything. So I'm very happy that it's still coming out this year. I think the project that actually should be pushed back is Aquaman, because it sounds like that is quite the mess right now.
I mean, let's just do it. Let's just do it. So apparently Ben Affleck was cut from Aquaman 2, which was meant to replace Michael Keaton's Batman, and now it seems like neither Ben Affleck or Michael Keaton are in this movie. Apparently reshoots just recently happened as well. We had heard about for what I think the third time now, 3 reshoots for this movie. Just in general, how are we feeling about Aquaman 2? Because I'm a little fed up with Aquaman 2 now.
Is it bad to say I don't really care?
I don't care.
Like, at this point, it's like a weird remnant left over from the old DCEU. They're taking out both the versions of Batman, so it doesn't have really any ties to anything. It's just going to be a random standalone Aquaman movie. I liked the first one. It did very well. I think Jason Momoa is great as Aquaman, but it's just coming out in such an awkward spot. It's just hard to get me to actually care about it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm feeling on it right now. Maybe my mind will change when we see trailers. Maybe it'll be very appealing. Maybe it'll be a fun time. I'm not knocking it until I see it.
Yeah.
But I'm just not very interested in it at the moment.
I think having it come out before The Flash might be one of the worst things I've ever did. That is, in my, like, the only reason I could see why they wouldn't would be because they want Jason Momoa. I think they want Jason Momoa as their Rock, which I think is a mistake. I didn't used to, but now I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, it's weird that if you're getting rid of everybody else, why is he still a remnant that's left over?
Do we think this takes place after Flash? After, like, in the post-Flashpoint DCU? And it's just a one-movie universe?
I mean, the fact that he was in the Flash post-credit scene makes me think that that's, it's still all kind of connected. But I'm still under the assumption and under the theory that Flash end scene and post-credit scene is its own wonky timeline, separate from everything else. Like, that is not, we are not in the DCU post-Flashpoint. No. Like, that's its own random world.
But I think Aquaman might be in that world. Like, I think they might say that takes place after then, and then we reboot again.
And then
like,
that's even more
terrible.
Confusing. Because
that's
why
terrible.
would you have him in the post-credit scene of the Flash movie with Ezra's version of the Flash if that's not going to continue, if we're not carrying on from that, random George Clooney scene and everything like that? Like, why even tack him on at the end of Flash if it's going to be its own Earth?
Yeah.
And if it's its own Earth, why cut the Batman cameos? Just establish that it's an Elseworlds project, and allow us to have these Batman cameos.
Yeah. This is the reason I'm excited for a reboot, because I am sick of this stuff. Sick.
It's convoluted. It's confusing.
I'm tired.
It's random. It just let the old universe just fade away.
Again, if you put it after Flash, it's fine. Like, I think you could have so easily fixed all of the stuff. Like you have Shazam come out, have this come out in June, because I think June's a great time for this movie. Have your, like, Ben Affleck, and that you can have, like, you can actually see Ben Affleck be, like, a fun Batman, which is kind of what they're setting up. Then you could do Flashpoint. But, like, in my world, how I like, ideally how you do Flashpoint is how you end the movie is how you ended Apocalypse War, where it's just kind of Barry running off into a new universe, resetting things, and then you fade
to black, fade to white.
And then next time we're in Superman Legacy, or like whatever our new universe is. It's that fixes up everything, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah,
Like,
100%, 100%.
and I get like maybe
They,
didn't have
they
the
just
money to reshoot and stuff, right? Again, but I know James Gunn is in a tough spot. Um, but I think this might be the first thing where I was like, James Gunn, not smartest move, not the smartest move on your
yeah.
part.
I mean,
This is
they're trying to make the best of a bad
yeah,
scenario, and just sadly they've once again gone this really weird, convoluted, just kind of the most roundabout way of getting to the destination when there's so many other easier, more straightforward paths that they could
yeah,
have taken.
yeah. I think I that kind of also leans into my whole thing where I kind of want Blue Beetle later on, just because I think people need a hard. I think people need that year. I think they need like 2024 as like a pause from everything, just to let people breathe. Be like, all right, that's over. It's done. And
Yeah.
then they can come back a year later. Be like, all right, we're starting fresh again. We're starting new. It's a mess. Do
Yeah.
you think okay, so I was thinking about this earlier, and I don't know if this may be just common knowledge, I'm dumb. So this was supposed to come out after Flash, right? This was always an after Flash
Yeah,
movie.
I think it was always supposed to come out after Flash from what I understand.
So in original versions, Ben Affleck was Batman again,
Yeah,
right?
because Ben Affleck
He
was
came back.
originally in that Flash in the end scene for
Okay.
Flash. It wasn't always Clooney Batman. It was one of the scenes was Ben Affleck Batman, and I think Sasha Calle's Supergirl, and then another scene had like the entire Justice League
Justice League,
with
yeah.
Henry Cavill's Superman and Supergirl and Ben Affleck Batman. So he was in
Mm-hmm.
two of the three versions of the end scene, and the new end that they shot is the only one that he was not in, I
Sure.
believe. Or no, one of them had. Well, and I think Keaton's Batman was the main Batman, and then Ben Affleck's Batman was like
Sure.
off in the nightmare timeline, and he like reached out to Barry saying like, "Hey,
Oh.
there's something coming," and I think that was kind of their setup for Crisis that they
Crisis?
were trying to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then at the end of Crisis, you reboot it all.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we're rebooting, obviously, because I think you need it badly. I think audiences have tuned out, but I can understand why people may have been really frustrated that we were in almost in a world where we could have had Ben Affleck back, we could have had Henry Cavill and Gal, and the universe we kind of wanted to begin with
right. It's
back.
like everybody kind of fell back into place, and
Yeah,
then they were
and
like,
then
"All right, reboot," but not
yeah,
full reboot. We're just taking, picking and
I
choosing.
I wish we could have had this 5 years ago. Because this is what I've been wanting. Like was one of my biggest issues with like the universe. Because I've been pitching for a reboot for years now because I was just so tired with the state of DC. But if you would have just kept making movies, kept on your plan after Justice League, as bad as Justice League was, I think we would have had a better universe. But like
Yeah,
after Justice League, it was 5 years of like we don't have Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman half the time. Let's just Birds of Prey maybe. Aquaman 2 maybe. Just kind of throwing stuff out to Suicide Squad,
just
without
the
all these
biggest issue
characters. Yeah.
it always felt directionless. And I
100%.
hope that with the reboot it actually feels like there's an endpoint that we're moving towards, like that there's a specific, you know, event that we're building to, or a specific team up that we're building to, or a threat, just something that makes the whole story cohesive and kind of flow together rather than, going off in every which way. Like I love Elseworld stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
the issue is when you say everything's connected, yet there's very little continuity between all of these quote unquote
100%.
connected projects.
There's too many cooks in the kitchen, I think, is like DC's biggest
Yeah.
problem. There's so many people being like, okay, this film's this, and then someone else comes in and was like, nope, we're doing this now, and then it's this, and then a buyout happens, and someone else is saying, no, you should reshoot this, and it's that with almost feels like almost every movie.
Yeah, they've just unfortunately been given very just difficult deals, like just they've been dealt a bad hand, I guess
I
is the best way to put it.
I can't think of a more unsuccessful universe. I cannot. Like I think just like everything with Zack Snyder and everything with Josh Whedon and Ezra Miller and Amber Heard and how all these actors were hurt, how Ben Affleck was hurt, how Henry Cavill was hurt. There is so much just bad blood here.
Yeah.
And I need the reboot now. I need a fresh
I also think
start.
there's a very interesting documentary here as well.
Oh, 100%.
Like the downfall of the DCEU or something like that. Somebody's got to put that together one day.
I don't know if you watched it yet, but Watchtower just put a complete timeline. It was like an hour 20 timeline of the entire DCU.
Oh,
and
really?
It has the production, but it looks like a movie he put together, and he goes through all the events of the DCU, and he kind of shows what's happened throughout the years and all the cons. And it's a really well made video. If anyone watching hasn't seen that yet, you want to check it out?
I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. But yeah, Aquaman 2, couple months. We'll see how that goes.
Production limbo once again.
Absolutely. I want to read through chat here because a bunch of people commented. Chainsaw reacts in the house. How's it going, Chainsaw? Great to see you. If they delay Blue Beetle, then we have a right to storm the studio to leak Batgirl. I'm down.
Yes.
I'm down.
Or we just put in the secret code on the Flash Blu-ray and then we get it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather Batgirl than Aquaman currently, just because.
Yes.
Just throw Elseworld on Batgirl and we're good. One Marvel fan says, with the amount of reshoots Aquaman 2 has had, I wonder what the budget will look like, if they will still market it. Let's look that up. What is the current budget?
I have no clue, but I'm sure it's a lot higher than it was originally intended to be.
Yeah, I hear it's expensive. I hear it's a very expensive movie. Which makes sense if they would be the first one made $1 billion. So I can understand why they're like, oh, this made a lot of money. We can give you a lot of money for the sequel. And
but I have a hard time I have a hard time believing that the sequel will live up to what the original did. It was a very interesting series of events that unfolded for Aquaman 1 to reach $1 billion. I don't think it cleared it by much.
Yeah.
But it got there. And that was kind of a big shock. Not that it was a bad movie or anything like that, but who would have thought an Aquaman movie would be, I think, the one and only DCEU film to make $1 billion?
Yeah. It also came out at a good time where it was Christmas again, and there wasn't much it was going against Mary Poppins. So, and 2018 was also a great time for superheroes were at their height. Everyone was loving superheroes. So, apparently Aquaman 2 has a budget of $205 million. I assume that's not including reshoots and marketing and promotion.
So with that, who knows? That could rival the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah. I hope, because what comes out in December? Is there a lot this December? I know November has a lot.
Let's see.
Is there a chance everyone goes on holiday weekend?
Aquaman, Rebel Moon is coming out.
That's Netflix, right?
On Netflix, yeah.
Yeah. Is that it?
Apparently a Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel.
That might come out. Because I think they just got done filming it. So if it still comes out.
So, I mean, it doesn't have much competition, it looks like.
Wonka was well.
Oh, okay.
Which is one of their own movies.
Yeah, so it doesn't have a lot of competition, but I still, again, find it hard to believe that it'll come out when it's said to come out, especially now with the actors joining the writers and, just...
Do you think it would do better if it came out next year?
Maybe have it be a release kind of around the time that Shazam came out this year, kind of I think what was it, March, I believe is when it came out. That might be a better spot to put it in, but I don't know what it would be competing with at that point then.
I think for the fans it'd be better because we would have something else next year.
Yeah, that was what I was about to say as well. It's just we don't have any big DC releases outside of Joker 2 next year.
And Penguin, but that's a TV show.
And then I think the Creature Commandos series comes out as well.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that,
maybe I would prefer it came out this year just to kind of get that fresh start next year, hopefully.
Yeah, but maybe just get it all out. When they can. But I just it doesn't sound like this movie's in any state to release in the next few months.
Maybe.
You know? So I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, especially again with how long all of this kind of lasts with the strikes and everything as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Trinity says, my only thing is all the characters felt rushed when they killed off Superman. It felt super rushed to the point that I was like, why do I even care about Superman dying? Yeah, I mean, that was my point of view when it came out. Like, I was in like 7th grade. That was one of my first Supermans. I wasn't a fan. I just made a whole video kind of talking about the death of Superman and why I think Superman Lois could do it better.
That was a very good video.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on here to escape the Midnight Circus. Now, you may be able to tell I literally just used our slide from last week, but I was like, you know what? It's still the statement's still true. They have released 2 episodes. 2 episodes are out this week.
That is true. That is true.
It's just 2 more episodes.
2 more episodes on top of the first 2.
Yeah, I you know what? We might be 2 of the only people that are listening to this podcast as. I've seen very little people also listen to this thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a shame because last week we were very negative towards it. I was like, I don't know. This doesn't feel like my Barry or what at least this DCU Barry would be like. And by episode 3 and 4, I'm kind of in love with this podcast.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I judged it way too harshly from the first couple of episodes, from just like the premise. It sounds so weird when you say it out loud, but listening to it, it makes so much sense. And it's very enjoyable. Like it's a fun time. It almost kind of throw out the fact that it's connected to the DCEU or the DCU, because I very loosely connected, if at all. But if you just kind of forget about that, think about it as a brand new Flash interpretation, I think you could have a really fun time with it. There's a lot of twists and turns and stuff. There's so many Easter eggs. There's so many like meta references. Like they reference like unscripted content and like, I don't know, like there's so many funny things, so many deep cuts, so many character pairings that you would never think about. And just, I think also just the voice acting is really good. Like it grabs my attention and I can visualize everything very well. And I think, all the sound effects are great. I think the fact that they use that like Flash whooshing sound every time you change scenes or change sets or whatever, I think it's great. They've done a really good job with the world building and stuff like that. And I think, you have to go into it not expecting it to be revolutionary or kind of, make you rethink everything you know about the Flash or anything like that. It's very much so kind of you can kind of predict where things are going. But I just think the journey is very fun, and I'm having a lot more of an enjoyable time with it than I thought I would when I went into it, and I'm excited for the rest of the show.
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of the pitch I could say to you is like DC Hunger Games. Like if you like DC, you like Hunger Games, go watch this because it's that, and it's so much fun just to see the random combinations of characters, and it kind of does go beyond the whole like Hunger Games concept because like episode 2, right? We saw characters kind of fighting, like they're in the ring actually fighting each other, and we get to see that too. But in episode 2, they go beyond that. We're like, all right, now they're playing chess, and now they're playing tennis, and now the Thinker is playing a game of like 20 questions or like the like riddles things, and it's just so much fun to watch these just insanity that is this podcast. See like Captain Cold face Blue Beetle in a tennis match, and all this stuff, which I will say, I think the highlight for me, this might be a hot take, is Captain Cold. Like, he's so nice. He's such a nice friend.
Yeah. And then just this week too, or I guess in these last two episodes, just again building up this other world, this Midnight Circus event is just, it's very, very interesting. It's not kind of how I expected it to go from the beginning, but I'm very, very happy with that direction that we've taken. I think we had a lot of fun references. Like, who would have thought you would have, you know, the Thinker hosting a just like riddle show, and then the fact that they're like, then Cicada questions his use of riddles, and he's like, you know, riddles aren't copyrighted, these are all in the public domain, and he's like, that Riddler guy tried to copyright question marks, and I was like, this is ridiculous. This is hilarious. And like, you know, you lose a competition, you get thrown into, like, basically get thrown in the Sarlacc pit. Like, I mean, come on. This is fun. This is funny. Like, I would love to see the voice actor for Barry get a chance to play him in live action. Like, I think 100%. That this is a much more likable version of Barry almost than the Barry that we see in the movie. And again, you can kind of, you know, criticize the fact that it feels like he didn't learn his lesson from the movie if this is supposed to be a carry-on, because he basically goes and creates another Flashpoint and gets himself stuck in this other universe where he doesn't have any powers or anything like that. But if we're throwing out theories, maybe this is where we tie in some Reverse Flash. Maybe, you know, good old Eobard Thawne tripped him in the Speed Force and he ended up you know, in the Midnight Circus, and that's why. And you just have Thawne sitting back, relaxing, eating some popcorn, watching Barry just like struggle for his life.
It was me, Barry.
Exactly. I would love for that to happen.
That I mean, I could see it. Like, we're getting almost like they are referencing such a large part of Barry's rogues gallery. Like, they're almost all being listed here. Heatwave and Murmur and President Murmur.
Yeah, President
really
Murmur.
I wonder how that happened.
The turtle.
There's like, I think isn't there a scene where like he does his little, like he does a speech, it's like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it was, what was it, the fireside chat with President Murmur. He's like
It's such a Muppets bit, and I love it. It's so funny. And I'm loving actually like the Barry and Iris stuff. Like, it's a really fun, almost coming of age story with them too. A very different version of Iris. We find out this week that she was, I forget what they said, but like she's this like really tough, strong. Iris West kind of reminded me of the Flashpoint movie, where she's like on the front lines and fighting for like what's right.
Kind of like a freedom fighter, Iris, very much so.
Yeah, which I thought was nice. And their whole scene where they're like eating cookies and stuff, I thought was adorable. And there's the weird scene where like that like reporter is trying to like seduce Barry in his own room. I was like, okay, we're doing that. It's very CW, where like the character walks in and be like,
yeah, it's like,
who is this, Barry?
It's not what it looks like.
And again, I'm loving Cat Grant and Boomy. Like, they're so fun. Like, Boomerang cracks me up. Like they've done the bit twice where it's like, all right, we got this super tough, strong opponent, and then we have Bob, and it's just like, there's no chance of them winning. But he's like, I don't know, it's anyone's game, and it cracks me up every time. I love it so much.
Yeah, and just like the descriptions though too of Barry, it's like, and Captain Boomerang's like, all right, this is Barry Allen, CSI from Central City. Let's see how he does against who is he? The top.
Yeah, the top.
It's anyone's game.
It's great. It's fun. If you honestly, guys, if you just like DC, if you're a fan of these characters, and you want to see them in like silly situations, watch it. It's fun. It's a blast.
Give it a try. Give it a try.
And I think you mentioned that maybe next week's our last week.
I think it might be our last two weeks worth of episodes. Or of because they released, I believe, like all of the titles and stuff for them when we figured out what was going to be on the bonus features for the Flash movie. So this is going to be included with that. I know the digital version just came out, but I think this is only on like the Blu-ray, the DVD version. So this entire podcast is going to be on there, and it seems like if they're going to continue with this method of release, we'll get our final 2 episodes next week, and we'll get that big face-off between Barry and Iris, it seems like.
Yeah, and I'm actually have no idea where that's going to go. Like, I wonder if... I don't know, because Barry's not going to fight Iris, obviously.
Yeah.
So I wonder if... Yeah, I actually have no idea how they're going to... how he's going to get out of this situation, I guess.
He's going to have to find a way to get his powers back, I think, is probably what's going to happen. Is we're going to have whatever the episode we return with, he'll probably be trying to get his powers back, trying to convince Iris to not kill him in the finale, and then Barry's going to have to, yeet himself out of there. And
I wonder if that's why we have a 3-way tie, right? Because we've got a 3-way tie currently, so maybe...
No, I think it's just the 2 of them because Cicada got thrown to the whatever wild monkeys or something.
Is it? I thought they said it was a 3-way tie. No, because it'll be Captain Cold, right?
Oh, right. With Captain Cold as well.
Yeah. So
right.
I wonder
you're right.
I wonder if Iris beats Captain Cold and then Barry can like escape and get his powers back or something. So like they both win, kind of.
Or like something like Barry has his powers back. They, Barry and Iris team up to defeat Captain Cold, and then Barry kind of lets this version of Iris, quote unquote, kill him, but he is able to, escape with his Speed Force.
Kind of like Hunger Games 2. I don't know if you watched those movies, but like they both survived the games for like the first time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying this a lot. I'm kind of sad it's ending. I hope it gets a season. Maybe like a sequel to this. Because I don't know how you
can't
do
really do a second season of the Midnight Circus. I mean, unless you do a different character, the Midnight Circus, and then just have like their rogues gal. Like, I almost think this would be a fun Batman. Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, Bruce Wayne stuck in the Midnight Circus and just like
Resident Luthor, something crazy. Yeah, I will say, because we haven't heard anything about Batman and Superman, so I wonder if we'll hear from them in these next couple.
Yeah, you're right. We haven't seen like any other heroes. It's just been villains, Barry and Iris, and that's it.
I mean, we've had a couple, right? Like we heard about
Blue
Cyborg,
and
Cyborg and Green Lantern and Aquaman. And they've all kind of been put in like either it was like last year's race or...
right, but they haven't been like prevalent characters, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a Justice League. This seems like a world without like a prominent Justice League. Like they may be lost, right? So
maybe
Barry's very lucky. He's gone only against villains and not like Green Arrow or something.
And villains that don't seem very competent either.
Yeah.
Something that I did think was very interesting that I did want to bring up as well is that they mentioned Palmera City when Blue Beetle came in, which is the name of his home in the Blue Beetle movie, but not it's a made up city for the movie, not from the comics. So I guess that's another one of their ties to try to make you believe that it's all in the same universe. But again, I think I have a very hard time connecting the dots there. It just feels so separate, and if you think about it as separate as an Elseworld story,
it's good. Yeah,
it's very fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I because like Blue Beetle was supposed to be part of this timeline, right? Like originally, so it would make sense if maybe they're like put a little cameo in there for people who might notice. Alrighty, moving on here. So I wanted to bring this up. So Flash came out on digital this week, the past week, and everyone's been talking about the cameos, and I thought it would be a really fun time to be able to kind of break these guys down a little bit more. We can finally show them on screen and we can talk about it. I mean, I guess I should have said this before I pulled it up, but spoilers for the Flash movie if you have not seen it.
But the entire movie has also been on Twitter for hours at a time. So.
Yeah, I feel like most... I don't like saying this because I know people have like very hectic jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Things to do. But like I feel like most of the people who wanted to see Flash in theaters have seen Flash in theaters. Which clearly wasn't very many people, unfortunately. So I want to go through all these characters and kind of talk about how we feel and did we like their cameo. First up here, we have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Now, we had heard that she was in this movie before, but we had heard she was cut. She was not in it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they still found a way to keep her in the movie. Did you like Gal here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that, anytime that we get to hear the Wonder Woman guitar riff and see her pop up even for a couple minutes, like, I think that's always a fun time. I know, the jokes that ensued from her cameo were not, like, the greatest, but I mean, you win some, you lose some. Again, well, at least we got the guitar riff and we got to see her one last time, if she's not coming back, which it doesn't seem like is happening, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of my preferred cameos here. I'm glad she got to, like, show up one last time before what could be her last appearance as Wonder Woman ever. I kind of wish it was a better one. I don't, like, she felt very, I don't know, it just felt off to me the entire time.
Yeah. I liked her Shazam cameo more.
I did too. I was, and it almost felt like that cameo made this one feel less exciting. Like that was like, oh, she's back, yes, and then
right.
this one's like, oh, she's here again, doing less than she did the first time.
Right.
And yeah, I'll be honest, I was someone that did not like the whole like lasso of truth scene. I know this has been going around on Twitter recently, and I think some people are overacting just a little bit, like, oh, this is the worst thing ever made ever. But I didn't like it either. I wasn't a fan. It felt very off to me.
Yeah, it was a little weird, but again, you pick and choose, and I'm still glad that we had her at least in some capacity in the movie. If again, that's going to be her last appearance as Wonder Woman.
Yeah, 100%. Next up, we have Thomas Curry, which was the cameo I didn't know about. It was one of the ones I didn't know about previously. And weirdly enough, might be my favorite cameo.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one I was not expecting. And
I wasn't expecting. It made sense. To me, it was funny. Like, I like Arthur being a dog is really funny to me. And it doesn't just feel shoehorned in. Like, he's trying to find out, like, where the Justice League is. So it makes sense he would call their parents and stuff and try to figure out. And I thought, I don't know, it made me laugh quite a bit. And I really liked him here. He's the one that I think worked.
Yeah, no, it's great always seeing Tamora Morrison in anything. So, Boba Fett cameo, 100% a W.
Absolutely. Let's kind of talk about the combination of George Reeves, Christopher Reeves, and the Supergirl cameo. Those are kind of in the same conversation of and now I guess also Adam West as well. I guess as kind of bringing people back and CGIing them and the backlash I think they've ensued. I mean, now that you've got to sit on it a little bit, how are you kind of feeling about their cameos here?
They don't look quite as bad as people were making them out to be from those like very low quality screen grabs from the theater and everything like that. They look presentable. Definitely not the greatest looking cameos. I think a much better route that they could have taken with these is just using stock footage. Just use footage either from a deleted scene, from a scene from the movies, and maybe try to like green screen them into a different background or something like that. I think it would have flowed a lot better. I think it would have made a lot more sense. I think it would have caused a lot less controversy. And I just think it's weird too for the big cameos in a Flash movie to be 3 different versions of Superman, a version of Supergirl, and like 8 million Batmen. Like it's a little weird. Like we only got one other Flash, and that was Jay Garrick, that people thought was oddly the Teddy Sears version because he kind of looks like him, but apparently he's not. Somebody tried to say that he was supposed to be a de-aged John Wesley Shipp, but that's not at all what he looks like either. And apparently he's just like an AI mock-up from one of the VFX artists is what I saw, is that they used his likeness to make this version of Jay Garrick. So I'm okay with that, but it just feels weird when you have Grant Gustin, when you have John Wesley Shipp, when you have, even Keenan Lonsdale, Kid Flash. Like, you've had all these different options that you could have done for other Flashes across the multiverse.
Yeah. I
and
would
you
have.
just didn't do it.
It's an odd choice, but I've always wanted to see like a live action Michael Rosenbaum as like a Wally West.
Oh yeah,
That'd be really sick.
that would be awesome.
I would love to see something like that. And yeah, I mean, I kind of want to talk about at the end what I would have done if I was in charge. But yeah, Jay Garrick.
If you had the keys to the castle, what would you have done?
Jay Garrick. I mean, I could respect Jay Garrick if they were all like comic book like. It seems like Jay Garrick is just supposed to be a very basic comic book Jay Garrick, very classic Jay Garrick, and I could get behind that if you did that with Superman or Batman or any Wonder Woman. But no, it's just he feels like the odd one out because everyone else is like iconic versions of these characters, which John Wesley Shipp would have been perfect. Like I think he would have fit in with,
and they have the '90s Flash suit, which was made for Elseworlds and for Crisis. Like it was there. So I think that would have been a much better route, and they wouldn't have had to do this weird AI mock-up CGI monstrosity. Like I don't know. It's just it's a little weird. It's a little bit of a moral gray area as well. I think that they were all done with good intentions and everything like that. With obviously, like I'm sure, like for these characters and stuff like that from the actor perspective, I'm sure like the estates and everything signed off on it. But it was a little weird. It was a little jarring, and just the fact that they were like, "Yep, this is good to go," is a little, little off.
Yeah, I could talk about all day of how upset it makes me. Some people weren't included, and these were. One Marvel fan says it's funny to me that Adam West Batman didn't have ears. LOL. Yeah, I mean I didn't even notice that in the movie, but no ears.
He's not Batman. He's just man.
He's Man-Bat, maybe. All right, up here we have the Nicolas Cage as Superman. Now he was my favorite out of the cameo, like the CGI cameos that we got. I think it's clever. I like that he finally got to play, or not play, I guess, but got to come back as that character that never got the light of day. Again, though, I do think it is weird when looking at who didn't get included, that a version of the character that no one besides us would recognize, right? I guess
it's interesting actually. A lot of people that I've talked to about this movie that are not like super deep into comic books and stuff like that actually kind of understood the Nicolas Cage cameo. Like it's actually very interesting how many people actually know about that. So I will give them credit for that. It's a deep cut, but it's not that big of a deep cut. I as much I think as some people might think. I just thought it was a little weird that they actually had Nicolas Cage and then they still decided to like CGI him. Like they did their best to like de-age him, but then they also just kind of put him in the style of all of these other, kind of CGI mock-up characters. And I don't think that these cameos were what Andy Muschietti was referring to when he was saying that the CGI was supposed to be like a wax museum or something. I think that was like the Chrono Bolt stuff. Right, exactly. These I feel like were supposed to be photorealistic, but I guess maybe the explanation is that, it's all moving by so fast, all these timelines, they're all warped and everything, and that's why they look weird.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I didn't have a massive issue when I was watching it. Like when I was
same.
I was like, it's a little wonky, but it's fine. And then I go on social media and everyone's posting it. I was like, oh yeah, that looks kind of weird. And it obviously came out on digital. I think out of all of them, he looks the best.
Oh, he looks the best. He looks the best for sure. Probably him and then the Jay Garrick mock-up as well.
Yeah. Obviously, we have the George Clooney Batman, which we won't spend too much time on because we've talked about that a lot. I like that he got a cameo here. It's nice that he got represented. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy his Batman and his Bruce Wayne, and for them I'm happy. I don't love I don't like how they ended the universe with him. I think
it was very much so just played for laughs.
Yeah. if it was any other point in the movie, like if it was just that scene in that like bowl of things, I'd be fine with George Clooney being included. That's
oh yeah,
that's not an issue for me. And then Aquaman, we talked a little bit about that. It's fine, I guess. I don't, a little pointless, but I guess I don't have an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall, like, I don't want to sound like, you know, I'm hating on these at all, because I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than some people did. I don't think it's a perfect movie by any means, but I think it's a fun time. I think it's a good superhero summer blockbuster. I didn't have really any issues with these cameos when they popped up when I was watching them, but it's just when you see these still images, when you see kind of like out of context scenes with people kind of making fun of it, like, yes, you can see that they aren't perfect, that it's not on the level of, say, like, you know, Marvel's digital de-aging technology, where that's like almost indistinguishable from real life. Like, this was a little rough. I think it's okay to, you know, criticize it for that, because, you know, I'm sure that they will take that into consideration when they think about doing something like this in the future. But I will also kind of give them an A for effort here. Like, they tried, at least. They tried to get some fun cameos.
Sure. So I guess it kind of throws it up to us now. Like, if you could have put in cameos of your choice, who would you have put in this movie?
I would have done like a classic Justice League. I would have had your John Wesley Shipp 90s Flash. I would have had your Linda Carter Wonder Woman. I would have done a Brandon Routh Superman, bring him back in that Kingdom Come suit. Like, that would have been great. And then have, like, I know it would be difficult, but like maybe Val Kilmer Batman. That would be very fun. And just have, like, you know, your classic Justice League there.
That'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, you basically named all the ones I would have done. Like, what you know what I would have done, and I talked about it earlier, where like Barry runs back to try to like fix the timeline. That's where I would have saw all the cameos. Like he's running by and he's like kind of like what the Flash TV show did, where Barry runs and he's seeing all these alternate like timelines and stuff like that. I would do that with that where he's running through, and then I think the ones I would have done was Grant and John. Obviously, I think everyone wanted them there. They weren't there. I would have done Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. It's absurd that we didn't get one Wonder Woman cameo. Like, we got 3 Batman and 3 Superman type characters, and no Wonder Woman at all. That always sucks. It would have been, and the fact that like we've had Crisis did a cameo fest, Titans did a cameo fest, this did a cameo fest, and none of them included Linda is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the only place that we got her back in a DC role was as Supergirl. The president on Supergirl, and that was fun.
And well, technically, she is in Wonder Woman 89, right?
Or in Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. She's not Wonder Woman, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I guess that's another thing that we're never going to see back to. But yeah, I would have done Linda. I would have done Brandon as the Superman, as the Reeves Superman, the same version.
Right, because that's supposed to carry on.
And then I would have done one Batman. I like in an ideal world, I think you could do Christian Bale, just as that cameo where he runs. Everyone would love to see him. But if not, I mean, I would have loved Reeves, or not Reeves. I would have loved Matt Reeves.
Pattinson.
Yes, Pattinson. I would have done that because like he's the current Batman. So like have him be like, he's out there in the multiverse somewhere, and we'll see him in 2025. Yeah, those would be the ones I would have done.
In a perfect world, looking back in hindsight, but again, I'm still content with the cameos that we had. Just maybe they weren't done in the best way they could have been.
Fair enough. So let's talk. We're kind of diving into Star Wars a little bit here. So Christopher Nolan doesn't want to direct another superhero movies, but he doesn't deny a Star Wars project.
Interesting.
So this is kind of your neck of the woods a little bit with Star Wars. Would you like a Christopher Nolan Star Wars movie?
That would be very interesting. I think, like, maybe an Inception style film that explores the world between worlds. I know you're not super familiar with that, but that was a concept that was brought up in Star Wars Rebels. It's something that we might explore a little bit in Ahsoka. I think just his style of directing and filmmaking could make for a very good, like, mystical, like, exploration of the Force type of movie. And I think that's an aspect of it that has not been explored very much. Again, we'll most likely get a little bit of that in Ahsoka, but I don't think we'll get it, fully fleshed out. And that's kind of like Star Wars's insert for time travel. It's not full on time travel. It's just kind of like a gateway to see like all of these different possibilities, all of these different, branching timelines, but it all kind of brings you back to the same endpoint, no matter what different decision you would have made.
Sure, I believe you. Hero's Journey. Sorry I'm late. We need a Plo
Koon
Star Wars movie. Do you
Plo
agree?
Koon is awesome. Yes, that would be great. Have a movie with Plo Koon, and then have him like when he discovers Ahsoka and stuff. That'd be fun.
Have I met this character yet? Is that
he's in the prequels. He's got this like breathing apparatus kind of thing. He's like a big old alien guy. He's in the Clone Wars series. He's in the Attack of the Clones as well, I believe. Just a prequel era Jedi that unfortunately may or may not have fell victim to Order 66.
I would not have known him. So John Boyega did, I think, a podcast or like an interview today. He had come out and said a bunch of things, and he had maybe tossed around the idea of he'd be open to the opportunities to come back as Finn in the world of Star Wars. Now, I will let you kind of go off on your tangent with this because I know you're probably very excited. But he's honestly one of my favorite Star Wars characters in general. Like I always just thought the concept of like a stormtrooper turning into a Jedi is so cool. Like I love that concept a lot. Probably outside of like Anakin and Jar Jar, one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
What about Darth Jar Jar?
Ooh, that sounds...
Yeah, I think that it would be great to have him come back. Like he definitely got the short end of the lightsaber when it came to the sequel trilogy. He was advertised very heavily for Episode 7 as being kind of this big centerpiece. He was on all the posters with the lightsaber and everything like that. But just as the sequel trilogy progressed, we sadly saw less and less of him.
Yeah.
As he was kind of relegated to being like this background character. And then it comes out after Episode 9, J.J. Abrams confirms like, oh yeah, Finn was Force sensitive all along. Like, but we never really saw any of it.
Yeah.
Like there were a couple of little hints. Like I think in The Rise of Skywalker, he like senses where something is on a random ship somewhere, and he's like, oh yeah, that's the one that with the control panel or whatever. So it's like the seeds were planted. He kind of holds his own with the lightsaber a little bit. So it's very loosely set up that he would go down that path. We see it further explored actually in some of those Lego holiday specials. We have, Rey's kind of training Finn a little bit with those Jedi texts and stuff, and I thought that was really fun. What was it? The one where it's like kind of like the summer vacation on the Galactic Star Cruiser, and he like talks to all the ghosts of like he talks to like Anakin Force Ghost and Obi-Wan Force Ghost and stuff like that, and he's like, oh, I'm scared to start my training and stuff like that, and like it's very fun. So I think if we can bring him back and put him in the forefront, I know that the Rey movie that's coming out, it's not going to be specifically centered on her, but I believe it's going to be 15 years post Episode 9 where she's rebuilding the Jedi Order and everything like that. So it would be very cool to see kind of maybe Finn by her side as kind of like vice Master Jedi, like he has fully come into his own. He has fully embraced the Force side of himself, the Jedi side of himself, and everything like that. And if he could return in a bigger role than he was in the sequel trilogy, I think it would begin to make things right, especially kind of like in his relationship with Disney, because we know he was not
Yeah.
happy with how things turned out. I would not be either. He rightfully so. But yeah, I'm very excited if this actually happens. But I think that Rey movie is the perfect spot to put him in there again, and just kind of have him be another Master Jedi.
Would you be down for like a show with him?
That would be fun as well. Maybe like something kind of exploring his, journey to being kind of, all powerful in the Force.
I will say though, like even if he doesn't want to return, if he gave his blessing, I'd be open to like an animated something.
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
further his story.
Yeah, because like I said, I loved him in the Lego stuff, and that was super fun. Like that was obviously not John Boyega voicing him.
Yeah.
It was very very silly. Like those Lego retellings of things are very much so not canon, but you can kind of interpret them as like an element of canon from a certain point of view.
Sure. Stranger, kind of going back into that Christopher Nolan thing, they asked he would be the perfect guy to direct a High Republic era Star Wars movie. Do you agree with that at all?
Yeah, that would be very fun. I know High Republic is something that they explored quite a bit actually in Jedi Survivor. I'm not super well versed in that era. That's kind of like Disney's new era that they're exploring in the books. I believe it's like 100 years or so, or a few hundred years before The Phantom Menace. So you've got kind of like Yoda in his prime and everything like that. And it's just kind of like a prosperous era for the Jedi. So yeah, it could be very fun. Or I'm thinking maybe like a Knights of the Old Republic. That's even further back. But that's where you get into like Darth Revan and all that stuff, and that would be a treat as well.
Sounds like a lot of fun. All right, let's kind of we're bridging the gap from Marvel to Star Wars. I got my boy Sam in there, who's been in both. So Bob Iger has talked about wanting to pull back on spending in creation for Star Wars and Marvel franchises. It's really funny. Like when Bob came back, he was praised. It was like the like king has returned, and like in a week, he's become like public enemy number one.
Yeah, he's sadly shown his true colors.
Yeah, he should just shut up. Shut up, Bob.
Just should have kept that all to himself.
So this is a weird one. I mean, there's obviously two parts of me that has an opinion on this. There's the part of me that's somewhat agrees with the like mentality of like less is more and the oversaturation topic that's been happening, the quality over quantity that's been thrown around a lot. And then there's a fan part of me that loves like 17 projects a year, and then 7 TV shows, and I think there's definitely a difference between what Marvel and Star Wars is doing. I think Marvel, there's a lot with Marvel. Like as much as I've loved most of it, you're like 3 movies and then you're 4 shows, and then you're, especially last year, like there's like 3 movies, 4 shows, 2 like special presentations. It was a lot, and I think people were really getting burnt out. I was even getting burnt out. Someone who loves all this stuff and will watch anything that comes out from this stuff. What are your kind of thoughts on this? Do you think they should maybe pull back a little bit?
I mean, I'm again very much so into that quality over quantity that you mentioned. I think they should much more so focus on creating the best possible projects that they can, whether that be series, whether that be movies, whether that be animated projects. I think that should be the focus rather than say, oh, we need to hit 3 movies, 3 series, and an animated show per year. Like, I don't think that they need to put themselves in that kind of a deadline or a position. I think they can just, streamline the process. Focus on 1 or 2 movies a year, 1 or 2 series a year, and kind of fill in the gaps that way. Like maybe have, start the year with a series, then drop a movie in the summer, then drop a series in between that summer movie and that, holiday movie, and then maybe have like a special presentation or something like that for like your holiday special or something. But yeah, I think that it is a good idea to pull back, because I think the market has been very oversaturated.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something to be said about like, do these still feel special, right? Like phase 1, 2, 3, everything felt like an event. Every movie felt like this massive undertaking. Everyone was kind of like rallying behind everything, and now it's like, well, maybe I'll watch Guardians, or maybe I'll see Deadpool when it comes out. Those Avengers will be when I come back or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think, not to say that we can't do these as well, because like we always kind of, it's weird because we've always kind of had that. Like before these, we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we had Agent Carter, and we had I guess like Cloak and Dagger, and all those kind of shows that, and and fans were like, yeah, this is the MCU, if you still count that. But I think they're all promoted to a level that is like, okay, this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You need to watch this, or you won't understand this and this and this. And yeah, I don't know. I think there is something like, there's never been something quite like this, where each project is so important to come out. Like normally you can, like, all right, we have a new Star Wars movie and that's it for 4 years, and that's kind of it. Now it's like, okay, now we need the Marvels and Captain America and Thunderbolts, and they all need to align in such a perfect way. And if one kind of fumbles, they all fumble. Like, I don't know if anything like that has ever happened before. I know there's been like trilogy planned and stuff like that, but like having all of these productions almost like a giant TV show, I don't know if that's ever been a thing.
Yeah, everything's very interconnected here. I think that Marvel would actually benefit from making more standalone projects. Like, I think that would actually be a much better way to go in the future. Like, obviously, we all love that interconnected, Avengers building universe, building towards that one big threat that's obviously right now it's Kang and everything like that, and everything's kind of like, multiverse, everything kind of building to one big point. But actually something I really like with what they're doing with Star Wars right now is they're building towards like that big cinematic universe culmination type of thing with the Mandoverse going into Heir to the Empire. But then there's also projects that are very separate. There's that Dawn of the Jedi project that takes place like 10,000 years ago, which is not really connected to anything other than just the start of the Jedi Order, the discovery of the Force. And then you have, the Rey project, which is set 15 years after the sequel trilogy to kind of give it space on its own, kind of be its own thing, separate. And it's been said that it is not the start of a new trilogy. It's not going to be episode 10. It's going to be a standalone movie. And so I think actually Star Wars is taking a much better approach.
Sure.
I just hope that everything comes out in the plan that they want it to, because I know that there have been things announced in the past that have kind of gone to the wayside. Like they announced a Lando series at one point, and I don't know what the heck's going on with that. What's happening? Is there going to be a Book of Boba Fett season 2? I have no clue when another season of The Mandalorian is coming out, because Pedro Pascal is so, occupied with The Last of Us.
Yeah.
It's in an interesting spot, but I almost feel like they need to meet in the middle with how much content Star Wars is putting out and how much content Marvel is putting out, and just kind of, streamline it a little bit.
Yeah. It's also kind of funny because it does kind of feel like Marvel has carried the last 3 years, because there's been no Star Wars movie since 2019. No. So it's not like you can have, all right, Disney, live action, Marvel, Star Wars. It's just like live action Disney, Marvel.
Yeah, the only thing that's been carrying Star Wars since episode 9 has been TV and the games.
Yeah.
And then books and comics and stuff like that, which are loosely connected.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I think Star Wars, like, I've only seen one Star Wars movie in theaters ever, and that's the latest one, which is what a lot of people's least favorite.
I'm so sorry.
which I liked because I saw it on a big screen. Like I feel like that was my first big Star Wars experience, and that was fun. Despite not thinking it was like amazing or anything.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was there opening night as well. So
yeah, no, that was. I mean, I hope to see. I know they're finally trying to get to some movies again, but even then, it's not like earliest 2025 or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so there's still a ways away.
Sure. Moving over into kind of the Marvel section, kind of our last. We're almost 2 hours. We're almost 2 hours in, and we're just now getting to Marvel. So yeah, I mean, we got some the Marvels photos today. We got about 4 here that I'm very excited to look at. I don't know why. I am very excited for this project. It's very funny. We were just like, hey, we need less content, and now we're like, more content.
I mean, here's the thing. I'll say it. I'll be like, oh, quality over quantity. Take your time, whatever.
Yeah.
But I will also just eat it up every single time they drop a new Marvel movie, new Star Wars movie, new game, new show. That you can't keep me away from it. I'm just a consumer.
Absolutely. We need, it's like you have that big bowl of chips. Like I would love to eat a whole bowl of hot Cheetos right now, but probably shouldn't. Should probably pace ourselves. Might be better in the long run. So we have this first one, and again, I've been pretty excited for this movie. We get a good look. I know the photo's covering most of the suits here, but we have our 3 co-leads here, all in their suits. How are we feeling about these costumes?
I like them quite a bit. I think Monica's suit is probably the best of the 3 here, but I know Captain Marvel herself gets quite a few different costume changes. Yeah. The Miss Marvel suit's a little bit different from the one at the end of the series. I actually liked that one a little bit more. This seems to be like somewhat of a slight step back, but I feel like we'll most likely see her in an upgraded version of this at some point. I don't think any of these are going to be like the final designs. I think this is kind of more so just like, in the core of the movie, they'll be wearing these at some point. And I think everybody's going to get some sort of an upgrade, whether that be power-wise, suit-wise, even effects being added on top of this. Like, they're all going to like be glowing and going Super Saiyan, So this is just very much so like a plain behind-the-scenes look. This is just to show off the costumes. And I think, again, the costumes do look very good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I Miss Marvel is a little frustrating because that's the whole Marvel costume thing we've talked about, where it looks like Sam has a new costume in Brave New World, and everyone's terrified that Spider-Man's going to get rid of his suits in Spider-Man 4 or like whatever. I think that Miss Marvel suit it's like, if that was her main suit, that'd be fine, but it's just that we've seen how good her homemade type suit was in the show.
And I think it just goes to show that like the simpler designs are better.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I think that Miss Marvel suit's very over designed, but I think Carol's suit is actually very, very simple. It's very, very streamlined. The biggest standout is obviously just the big old emblem. But aside from that, it doesn't have like super crazy angles or anything like that. It's very textured. And again, Monica's suit too is also very kind of streamlined. It does have a little bit more that Marvel angular design going on there, but I think that's kind of the biggest issue that a lot of people have, is that these suits are over designed. Like I think simplicity is key here sometimes.
Sure. I do hope it's very story driven why she's wearing this. Like I hope she starts off with her suit from the show and she's fighting local crime and stuff like that. But then like Captain Marvel was like, oh, do you want this suit? And she's like, yes, I need the suit that you made me. Like, I think that might be a thing. And then maybe she ends it again where she puts on her iconic family suit, right? Just to kind of be that friendly neighborhood, not Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then that suit's like, kind of like the Iron Spider suit, where it's like, that's for the Avengers. And I wear my basic suit just to fight normal crime. One Marvel fan says, I'm not a fan of Carol's suit. The other 2 I don't really have a problem with. Camilla's suit from the show was great, but gotta sell toys. Yeah, no. Yeah.
all the Funko Pops.
there was that scene in the first one where she goes through 12 different suits. She goes through all of them, and I was like, yep, toys. So we have this one from Nick Fury. He's looking. I brought up this photo and also the photo from Secret Invasion. I think this is like episode 1, just to kind of see the difference, because I think this is kind of very awkward, especially when it comes to like promoting this, because we've heard it's like almost like a direct sequel from Secret Invasion, and we're all kind of wondering the fallout for next week's episode and how it ends and where Fury ends up after the events of the show. Fury is definitely looking much nicer. He's not at war. He's got a nice suit on. He's had a shave. He obviously has the eye patch back, that iconic eye patch. Looks like we're maybe in Saber here, or some alien. I think it is Saber. Yeah, so this might be at the beginning. Maybe he's talking to Monica, or maybe, you know what? I bet he's talking to Miss Marvel here, and he's like, "What is happening?" Like maybe
why are you guys swapping powers?
Yeah, trying to be like, "What's going on here? What do I have to defuse now?" Yeah, I mean, this is Nick Fury's year, and I'm very happy for it. It's nice seeing him back in action, I guess.
Yeah, and it seems like I know we'll get into Secret Invasion stuff, but it definitely seems to carry on quite a bit. It's like kind of to show you, hey, Fury is back.
He's back.
He's not Nick anymore. He's Fury now.
Absolutely. And then I have them all. We have this shot of Captain Marvel with the scrolls. Nice to see the scrolls are still going to be an active thing in this universe. Seems like they're on her side, so I wonder if we resolve the war next week, or if they're still going to be like an ongoing threat for us, but these ones are good. Again, I think I heard like this week they had said that this movie is like a direct sequel to the events of the show, so I'm very curious to see those consequences.
Yeah, exactly. I think again, wherever we leave off in Secret Invasion is going to propel us into the Marvels, and I think that's maybe why they're waiting to release a trailer. Like maybe there's some big spoiler or something as far as the state of the MCU post Secret Invasion. But at least from this, we do see that there are still Skrulls among us.
Absolutely. I guess it's kind of a fun time to bring it up now, is because we obviously next week is the final episode.
Yeah.
What do we think the post-credit scene is going to be for Secret Invasion? Do we think it's going to set up the Marvels? Do we think we'll get like a Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel or Monica kind of setup?
I would say if I was gonna bet on one cameo, I would say probably Carol, Captain Marvel, is gonna possibly pop up and just set up the events of the Marvels, to kind of bring Fury back into the fold as far as what's been going on up in space while he's been down here dealing with the terrestrial threat.
Sure. You haven't seen Miss Marvel, right?
I've not seen it, but I know how it ends. I know.
Okay.
Again, I've been very free with spoilers. Like I won't watch things, but I'll still like look and see. I'll still keep myself informed, but I still need to watch through it before this movie comes out.
Sure.
I'll binge it really quick after Secret Invasion.
I'm trying to think, because that's how they end Miss Marvel is
because she pops
Carol.
up. Yeah.
So I was like, would we do 2?
That is true.
I was thinking if I was a betting man, I'd say Monica, just because Monica and Nick are in space when we see them inside the trailer. Yeah. So I was wondering maybe Nick maybe it's like Nick recruiting Monica to go to space.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Monica being like, I need your help with blah 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 or something,
and then we get like full on photon reveal.
That'd be cool. For sure. But yeah, it could easily be Captain Marvel. I would not be shocked if she makes some kind of cameo in this movie.
Or it's all of them.
They just pose. They
all show up, and it's like Nick Fury's like, now what do I have to deal with?
It's just like a press junket of all them being like, watch our movie November 22nd, only in theaters. And this final shot of Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. I don't know. This one's just really cute. Just like cute, wholesome. Looks like Miss Marvel is freaking out, geeking out over Captain Marvel, like she does, like Gwen does. Kamala is my most anticipated thing about this movie. I know you haven't seen it yet, but I loved her in her show. She's just such a joy to watch on screen. Such a joy to see her geek out. Just her, and also the actress. I don't know how much you've heard about the actress and how she
seems very, very well versed in all of this. And I saw a quote like basically like if they didn't know like a comic book connection is just like just ask her, she knows. Which is great. And she's like writing the new Miss Marvel comic, with her like becoming a mutant and everything like that. And I was like, that's super cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's kind of interesting. I actually was meant to make that a topic today. I completely forgot. But the fact that, so in her comic, she's making it that, or they're making it that she's a inhuman and a mutant, right? And that's going to be like a mixture. And there's a lot of, I know you haven't seen it. I don't know if you heard about the whole mutant stuff.
Yeah, and I heard the 90s X-Men riff.
No. So I wonder if they could do something like, I doubt it, but like I know what Marvel has done in the past is they'll test things in the comics, and if people like it, then they bring it over to the shows, and the movies and stuff. So I mean, I would be down if you did something like that. That could, if we could bring in some Inhumans, that makes way. I know you don't watch Shield, but like in way for Daisy Johnson, if we could have Inhumans in the MCU, I would love it. But yeah,
I think it's just exciting times because we're getting so close to like full on like X-Men in the MCU time, and it just like,
I'm so excited.
Now that they're making Miss Marvel a mutant, and like I think she's definitely going to be like a massive face of Marvel going forward.
Oh yeah.
So.
And I'm so excited for her, man. I because this is like, I don't know if you heard this, like Miss Marvel was her first acting gig ever. Like
it's basically like if one of us just like was cast on a show just because we're excited about the universe and we're fans.
It really does feel everyone is just like rallying behind her. Like she's one of us. And she's getting to do all these things, and she's writing comics, and she's in
just living the dream.
Ready. Yeah, I mean, we've heard rumors about. I don't like diving into rumors, but the rumors that we heard about what the post-credit scene of the Marvels was and what that leads to. I don't know if you did you hear about that?
I did not. Okay. No, I'm interested though. I'm interested.
The post-credit scene teases something that people have been wanting. So I won't go any further.
Is it Doctor Doom?
It's Howard the Duck.
Once again, Howard the Duck. Oh, speaking of Doctor Doom, okay. Super random. But remember that leaked photo that was going around for a while that was like supposedly concept art of Doctor Doom gonna be in like, I think it was Black Panther 2 or something, and he was, standing next to this dude, and the dude looks very similar to Gravik.
Yeah.
And I was like, does that mean it's real? Is Doctor Doom coming?
Maybe. They gotta do him soon.
It's Doom. It's Doom time.
Like I don't know, because he's such a big part of Secret Wars, right? Like Doctor Doom and
yeah.
I think there's projects we don't know about. I really
yeah.
I would honestly not be shocked if we get a Doctor Doom project before Avengers.
I'm
like,
almost thinking like if the writer strike and the actor strike wasn't happening, I almost feel like Marvel at either Comic-Con or D23 or something, that's where you announce your Fantastic Four casting, your Doctor Doom casting. You bring everybody out on stage in their suits as well.
Yeah.
The Stranger says Doctor Doom special presentation. That'd be fun.
That'd be sick.
I would love that.
I think he needs his own project. He's a character that could win. Like, I want a Thanos situation where we love him and we know he's wrong, but
you could make him a very sympathetic villain.
100%. I don't know if a movie would actually that might be a very well like I think that could make money, a Doctor Doom movie.
Imagine making the Fantastic Four movie a Doctor Doom movie. Like, so it's Doctor Doom's movie, but the Fantastic Four are just in it.
Maybe, but I don't want him in the Fantastic Four movie. Like, I like Doctor Doom, but I want Fantastic Four to have another villain that isn't.
Okay. Just keep them separate for a little bit.
He's been in every single Fantastic.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So like, I'm fine if he's in Secret Wars. Like, I'm fine if he gets his own project, but I want that single movie to be anyone else.
Silver Surfer, played by Hayden Christensen.
I think that's coming too, though. I think Silver Surfer soon as well.
Oh yeah.
I think either like a show or even again a special presentation would be cool.
Yeah.
It's weird because I don't know any other Fantastic Four villains, but I know they're out there, and I want to learn about them. Like
Doctor Doom, Galactus, Silver Surfer. That's about it. Yeah. That's about all I know.
Which is why I want more. Like those movies are the only exposure I really have to them. Like I saw them a bit in like the Avengers cartoons when I was a kid, but like I don't know much about them, and I want to.
Yeah. All I remember is from the Superhero Squad online game. There was a Dark Surfer. He had the Infinity Gauntlet and this like crazy sword. Like, bro is overpowered.
Alrighty, so at our 2-hour mark, we're going to dive into our main topic.
we got there.
We did it, guys. There. We had a lot there.
Chat, we did it.
It's been a crazy week of, a slow news week, but big punches, I guess. And that's Secret Invasion, episode 5, our penultimate episode of the season. Can't believe we're here already. I really can't. We kind of, these 6-episode events really go by so fast.
Yeah.
What kind of your just overall opinion on episode 5?
I thought it was, again, another very short episode, and I'm still confused as to how we're going to wrap this all up in just one. It had some really good moments. I think it set up very well for where we're going in the finale, but it almost felt like a mid-season finale, not a penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Because by the end of it, we finally fully have Nick Fury is back. That was the whole thing throughout this entire season is Fury he's rusty. He's not, he's not the guy he used to be.
Yeah.
He's not at that caliber anymore. And everybody has been kind of, underestimating his power. And, following Talos's death, following just Gravik's kind of last-ditch effort to try and, enact his plan and everything, this has kind of forced Fury to step it up. And, he gets the trench coat back, he gets the eye patch back, he gets his, random secret weapon, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, this to me really felt like just a setup for next week's finale. It felt like kind of, in a way, we're kind of jogging in circle just to be all right, just one more until we can finish this thing off. I looking at what we've had so far, I wish this was a 13-episode show, honestly.
I think at least 8 would have been good. If this was episode 5 of 8 and we had 3 more left, I think that would
I
be
could
better.
see that for sure. Yeah. Because I had said previously I thought 6 episodes was fine for a show like this, but it does feel like we've had several episodes that didn't do much, right? It kind of set up.
It's almost been dragging its feet a little bit. It's fun, it's engaging. I think it's going to be very good on a binge, but maybe that's kind of why people aren't watching it week to week, is because it's it's very slowly moving around,
There's not a lot. I feel like there's just not a lot to talk about this episode.
Right. It's just it's okay, Rhodey's still a Skrull. Rhodey's still bad guy, still a Skrull. Gravik just is going crazy. We had that really cool scene with Gaia and Fury's wife,
Priscilla,
and just kind of defending the house and everything, and then kind of going their separate ways. And then also a nice little like kind of intimate scene, just like with Talos's funeral and everything like that. That was pretty nice as well. And then like you said, just very much so set up for the finale. I enjoyed the episode, but again, it just was very, very quick. And this is kind of how I felt with a lot of Mandalorian episodes in season 3. Like they were just very, very quick, very short episodes, and they didn't feel like they furthered the plot very much outside of setting up the next episode.
Yeah, I think this episode and episode 3, because I think episode 3 was kind of similar. Like it just set up episode 4, which was amazing, which I loved. And again, nothing in either of those episodes are bad. Like I didn't dislike anything here, but I also didn't kind of feel I guess, as much tension, as much life that your episodes 1, 2, and 4 did for me. And I think there was somewhat of a disconnect somewhere from episode 4 to 5. I don't know what that was, and what they could have done to pull me kind of back in a little bit. I guess kind of how I feel about the show will really determine in episode 6. If they can wrap it all in a beautiful and satisfying way, then I can excuse it all because it's been a great journey. But if I exit episode 6 and be like, yeah, but I wish they would have done more, then I think it might lower as an entirety of a show. And again, I think this, as much as I would not, it's weird because I think this show is almost should be made for like the weekly show, because you don't know who's who, and you don't know like that suspense is made for that weekly journey, but also it might the pace of it and how it's performed might be better in a binge as well. So I don't know.
I think you are correct as far as the finale is very, very much so make or break for the show. Is if it doesn't stick the landing, if it's another short, like 35-40 minute episode, it's going to feel very rushed. I know we're kind of talking about how it feels like it's dragging its feet, but I think maybe the biggest issue with the show is the pacing. Like in certain aspects, it feels like it's dragging its feet, but in other aspects, I feel like we're moving along way too quickly. Like we moved from, Gravik being very calm, very calculated, very meticulous about his plans, to this week he's just like gone basically full on evil villain mode. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. And he's just, kill everybody in the way, kill everyone who stands in their way, and is just trying to, turn the world into Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned. Like, I hope it's at least an hour next week. I don't know if you've ever had an hour finale with one of these Disney Plus shows.
I think it's going to be in the 45 to 55 minute range is what I would bank on.
I'm so nervous that we go back into the MCU formula, because I think the way they're setting it up, you could so easily just be 25 minutes of pew pew fight scenes with Nick.
Well, I did see a screenshot from a trailer where Gravik is big Skrull Boy.
Oh
Fury.
Yeah, Hulk. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, so I mean, that would be very disappointing if what we thought was that big different character study kind of spy thriller show just kind of turned into your formulaic MCU thing. I'm hoping that they stick the landing. I really am.
I think I don't want Nick to kill. I don't know how I want in the end. I don't want the ending to be a big fight. I want it to be more of I have messed up and I need to redeem myself in this moment. How, Nick to be like, how can I fix what I have done?
Yeah.
I want a scene like that. And maybe it's a thing where, Gravik is like, no, you can't. But maybe all the other schools are like, no, we should, we're tired of how you're leading us. And maybe they kill Gravik. And that's how you kind of end it. And then you end it with Nick being able to be like, okay, Gaia, is your new leader. And we together are going to find a way to find you a home, to find you a better place. And it'll be a very different ending to anything we've seen.
In
the MCU. A very this is a weird thing to say, but almost like a Lion King type ending, where it's like the you kind of have like the two forces kind of go against Gravik, where the hyenas go and kill Scar. That's
Yeah,
a terrible analogy, but
I understand where you're coming from. I think that especially this week kind of showed like even Gravik's side, like extreme side of the Skrull population is going against what he's doing because he's just gone off the deep end.
Yeah.
So I almost don't see a scenario where he walks away from this, especially now that he's like super Skrull juiced up and everything like that. Like I almost feel like he's gonna just drink way too much of the Kool-Aid and just kind of yeet himself out of existence at that point. And we're gonna get our big old showdown, and somehow Fury is going to single-handedly take down a powered up Super Skrull. And then, you'll get your final scene. It's like, Gravik, I failed you. I'm sorry. And then Gravik's gonna be like, yeah, Fury, I don't like you, man. I'm dead now. Bye.
Maybe. I'm kind of looking at my notes here. We can go through the line. We had the whole president in the hospital thing, and I love everything with like Nick Fury like defending him in the hospital, and
he would just sit there at the chair. Yeah,
that was a great shot where he pulls the chair around, sits down, and
it's just like I'm the last line of defense,
which was great. I loved everything with Rhodey and Nick. I think those two. It's just fun seeing Rhodey as a villain and getting to play in that role.
Yeah.
And
we've got to resolve that next week too.
Yeah,
because like we got to set up for Armor Wars.
Yeah.
So are we going to go into Armor Wars with Skrull Rhodey?
Not knowing, maybe. I think he dies in this episode, but maybe they wait to tell us when until Armored Wars. So like I was hoping that we would know this week when he was picked off. Or maybe we open with Armored Wars showing
maybe. Right. And then kind of maybe the beginning of Armor Wars showing him just kind of like readjusting to the world after being held in Skrull captivity for however long he's been there.
Absolutely. I like to see. It got me a good laugh, and Nick Fury just hit him with his gun. He's like,
yeah, it's like sit your Skrull butt down.
It's so funny, so silly. But the world now thinks that Nick Fury is a killer, which I thought was an interesting sequence. Now you could probably, I don't remember, because the world for a while still thought Fury was dead, right? Like he faked his death for a time.
Yeah.
Do we know when they found out he was alive?
Right, which is weird too, because at the end of the episode, when Fury like goes to one of his grave sites, he's like, "Yeah, I got these all over the world." Like, that was a little, like, it's cool, but it's like, are you alive? Are you a ghost nomad living off the grid? Like, what's going on here? Like, I guess everybody knows that Fury's back and not dead.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I would assume probably during the blip, right? So I wonder if, like, when he attended the funeral, like Tony's funeral.
Right, that was like a public appearance, so then everybody was like, okay, yeah, he's back.
Yeah, so that's probably when. Or just during, well, maybe, because he got snapped away, right? So maybe, maybe they did, like, interviews of people being like, well, he's dead, so people, the world can know that he's alive.
Right, true.
Yeah, maybe something like that, or I guess now dead. I don't know. It's weird. I just imagine from like the press, like our point of view in their world, like so.
It's like
he faked his death, but then he didn't die. But then he died from the snap. But then he came back. But now he's a murderer. Like I imagine that's like
right.
Like, the whole YouTube channel
is this like
covering.
Like, why is this Nick Fury guy? Number one, why does he look so much like Mace Windu? Number two, what is he doing? Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I also thought it was funny where like the whole world will hate Nick Fury for killing Maria Hill. I was like, do people know Maria Hill? Like they made it act like Maria Hill was like the superstar that the world would hate if you killed.
Right. I mean, I think they made it very clear in, was it the second episode? Like she was very much so off the grid, kind of doing secret spec ops things for S.H.I.E.L.D. So she would not be very well known. So, people are just like, oh, Fury killed some random person.
Random woman, yeah.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, I do want to bring up this comment. This is actually a pretty fun comment. So we found out that I think it was during the Endgame battle, right? I think is what they were referencing here, where all the Avengers had they got hurt, they got blood all over the place, and they gathered up all the blood for a just in case we might need that in the future, which is
that was a good idea.
That's a very Amanda Waller thing to do. I feel like
or like a Batman. I've got a contingency for
everything. Sure, absolutely. Travis said, won't happen, but the only Avengers whose DNA wouldn't be recovered is Vision, as he had none. He is also Jarvis, so I mean that's a good point. But Vision wasn't at the battle of the Thanos battle, right? He was dead at that point.
Yeah, he was in pieces.
Yeah.
At that point, I believe.
I wonder because I wonder how much they can actually use, because someone like Tony they couldn't use, Rhodey they couldn't use, a lot of your
just normal people. What are you gonna do with Hawkeye's DNA? It's gonna
sure
make you a sharpshooter.
What can you do with Thor's blood? I wonder what you do there. Can you get his
somehow replicate
strength?
Asgardian god tier power?
You probably didn't get Hulk. You can't get his blood, right?
I mean, well, how else would Gravik become hulked out Super Skrull?
That's true, but I thought you couldn't. I mean, unless it's from Miss Marvel, right? Because that blood was kind of going around. I mean, She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. Yeah.
So unless that's the She-Hulk blood, I don't know how that works. I would have to go through and pull up Endgame and look at all the different characters and be like.
Well, I mean, that would actually make a lot of sense. If they got the Hulk's blood, that's how, She-Hulk became Hulk, was from the Hulk's blood. So
sure.
Then that would be how Gravik would become, hulked out Super Skrull.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Give me a second. I'm pulling up, the final battle in Endgame, because I kind of want to see all the different...
Avengers, assemble.
Okay, here's the posters from Infinity War and Endgame. Let's take a look at that real quick. We haven't done a share screen thing in a while. Okay, can you guys see my screen over here?
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, that's actually really cool. Somebody combined both posters.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope.
Okay, let's start over. Thanos. Would we have Thanos blood?
All that for a drop of blood.
Oh, I mean, maybe. Scarlet Witch, I don't know if that would do anything.
Yeah.
The magic people, if you got Stephen Strange or Wong, I don't know if their blood would do much.
No, because I mean, you have to know how to do sorcery.
Yeah. Iron Man would do nothing.
No. Maybe make you smart.
Thor, maybe. I'll put a giant maybe on Thor. Black Panther, yes, right?
Yeah, maybe? I mean that would just give you overall enhanced senses and strength and everything.
Sure. Bucky, no. Shuri, no. Hulk, probably not, but maybe She-Hulk.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in on the Hulk blood theory. That seems like what's really gonna happen is he's just gonna take that, and then that's how you get big old Super Skrull.
Mm-hmm. Spider-Man, maybe. I've never Spider-Man's bled a lot in the comics,
he'll throw out quips.
Maybe. It's become really silly all of a sudden.
Or he'll just say, Mr. Stark.
I don't feel so good. Okoye, no. Black Widow, no. Star-Lord, maybe? Did you become a god?
No, because this is after Guardians 2, so he's just normal person now.
Well,
kinda.
Yes, but he also survived in Guardians 3, where I think he shouldn't have. So I've been wondering if he still has a little bit in him. You know what I mean? Maybe not though, because he survived in space without the helmet or without anything.
True.
most of the Guardians, I would say yes, right? Because they're all aliens. They would all probably
Yeah, well, I mean, and because he's already got
Groot. Yeah,
Groot,
he has
Groot
Groot.
in him. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what you could do with Rocket, but like maybe a Mantis or maybe I don't know, Rock or Drax maybe. Captain Marvel, I don't know if she bled at all, but maybe.
I think maybe like the big thing, right, is so maybe he gets the Hulk DNA and everything like that and is able to power up, and like the big thing that Fury's trying to keep away from Gravik is Captain Marvel's powers, because I think it all kind of brings back to her, because she's got, she can go again, for lack of a better term, she'll go Super Saiyan and just like wreck house. So
yes. Ant-Man, no. I don't see her here, but Valkyrie maybe, right? She's
again more Asgardian DNA.
Yeah. All right. I mean, about half of them. Like I was thinking, like, oh, they could get a lot of powers, but not looking at it, maybe not a lot. Maybe half. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. It'll give us something.
Let me look at chat because a lot of people have been chatting since I was over there. Thor's blood could be used to create tech that's only operable or liftable with his DNA. Ooh, that'd be kind of fun.
Interesting. Create a new hammer.
Is that how that worked though? I thought it was like magic that did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was more like magic or he who be worthy.
I can hear the theme song of Avengers when you said that, Taz. We still don't know what happened to President Ellis from Iron Man 3, who survived the extremist conflict. Him returning, revealing a conspiracy theory left by Tony would make sense. Yeah, I think the last time we saw him was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't remember what happened there. It was like season 3 or something like that. I don't remember. This means they have Howard the Duck blood.
That's true.
That'd be pretty cool.
Can make a bunch of sentient ducks.
Do you think we're going to see him again?
Oh yeah, he'll pop up somewhere. I don't know where. If nothing else, it'll be in Secret Wars.
I'm waiting. Oh, we get both of them. We get the old movie and then this one.
Howard the Duck is a Skrull. Skrull Duck.
Miata said episode 5 of Secret Invasion was a solid 8 out of 10 for me. Glad you liked it. I liked it too.
Yeah.
Star-Lord's do I want to read that? I don't think so.
Star-Lord had a grimace shake. Next question.
What I don't understand, I need to start reading them before I say things. Sometimes it's like, oh, that wasn't okay to read. What I don't understand is like people are like, oh, it makes sense for Fury to call Quake. No, it doesn't. Nick Fury met Quake for like 1 second. He has no relationship with her. It wouldn't make sense. Okay. Let's talk about the phone ending. Okay. So this is, again, I want Quake in somewhere more than anything. Anything in the MCU right now, I would take Quake. But so with these episodes, I always read, it's always kind of fun piecing together what people are talking about on social media. Because I wake up, I see everyone talking about the episodes. I was like, oh, shoot, I can't watch it until later, whatever. And I saw everyone talking about the phone thing all day. Everyone's like, is it Quake? Is it Captain Marvel? Is it Monica? Is it Coulson? And that got me really hyped to watch the episode. And I watched the episode, and I was like, oh, he probably just called Gravik to say, let's get this. Right?
Yeah, that was what my assumption was. I didn't realize that this was like a whole thing that people were like, oh, who is he talking to? I thought it was pretty obvious he called Gravik and was like, hey, I'm ready. Let's end this. Like, I got your vial. I'm suited up. I got my trench coat. I got my gun. I got my eye patch. What kind of tech is in his eye patch though? Actually, like, I'm very curious. I think that might deserve its own series of itself. But yeah, I think he was just talking to Gravik. Like, I think that's pretty much the implication there.
I could maybe see Captain Marvel coming through and be like, okay, I need your help now. Let's do this now. But like, okay, so like there's that whole scene with I forget her name. Olivia Colman's character, right? Where it's a really well-made scene where he's like, I need to do this on my own. We can't just be like free relying on all these super-powered characters to fight our battles for us. And I think if the following episode is just like, all right, bring in all my friends, bring in Captain Marvel and Quake and Monica.
Yeah, that would completely undermine. Yeah, exactly. It would completely undermine the whole point of the series. It's like, this is Fury's battle and Fury's battle alone. I think that's the whole point of it.
I think there was definitely spots for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters, especially like Quake, in this show, if you wanted to. There was definitely points, because the whole thing is like, she is a Avengers level character, but she's also a spy. So she could also help out in ways that maybe she couldn't get caught, or she wouldn't, do anything. And I think there could have been room for that here. But we're at a point in the series and how they set everything up. I don't want her in the finale. I would be incredibly happy if she was, just because I'm a massive fan of the character. But I don't think it would service the character very well, especially with how much time we have left and how much we have to do next week.
Yeah, I like the fact that this has not been a big cameo fest kind of show. It's not like, oh, I recognize this character, I recognize that character. Like, it's very much so Nick Fury's story. Like, at the end of the day, it is his series, and I think that they need to stick to their guns on that and finish it out and still make it about Nick Fury. Like, he's doing this on his own. He doesn't need the Avengers help. He doesn't need, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. help. He doesn't need any of that. He made this mess, and he can clean it up on his own.
Yeah, no. I think if we see any S.H.I.E.L.D. characters, I could see a scene next week where Gravik turns himself into Coulson to get in his head, which is, again, very worrisome, because what do they count as Coulson's story? Do they count he died at the end of Avengers and that's your canon? I know, again, you haven't seen S.H.I.E.L.D., but there's a large history what happens with Coulson. Like, there's several steps. It's like, what does Fury know of what happened in these events? So, there's worry there for sure. Fury said that Carol bled in the battle. Okay, I didn't hear that. I missed that, I guess. Okay. Do you wonder, will they bring the Avengers or Carol in the final battle? I think post-credit scene. I think this has to be Fury's fight.
Yeah. If they show up at all, it'll be post-credit scene.
Yeah. When did Nick meet Quake? So they've never met on screen. They've never... the only kind of interactions was an episode. You've seen the first season, right? The first couple, you said, of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, I saw like the first episode, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so episode 2, it's Nick Fury being like, you crashed my plane, Coulson, what are you doing? And it's also him being like, this new girl, I don't trust her, I don't believe in her, I think she is a liability, and that's their whole thing. That's the only mention we've seen with Nick and Quake. So that was always my dream ending for S.H.I.E.L.D. So this obviously didn't happen, but I always wanted you end S.H.I.E.L.D. with Nick being like, all right, I trust you now, come join my team and Sword. Like, that's always what I wanted, to make that whole thing come full circle.
Yeah.
And I would love to still do that if we do like a Sword TV show or something. It's like the engineer from WandaVision. People jumped on into to point out
it's Reed Richards.
It's Fitz and Simmons. It's
Mephisto.
Agent Ross was the ex-husband of and now missing. Yeah, we haven't seen from her. I kind of thought we would have seen from what's her face?
From what was it?
Yeah.
From Falcon and Winter Soldier.
And Black Widow,
Black Widow post-credit scene and stuff.
Yeah, I thought we would have set her up a little bit.
I think they're probably saving that for like Thunderbolts stuff.
So Miata, Sword is in the comics. Sword is basically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. but in space. But in the MCU, they're calling it Saber.
Saber, yeah.
Yeah. So where Nick Fury has been the last 5 years, and then where he's going to be in the Marvels, that's called Saber. That's like basically a S.H.I.E.L.D. in space, basically.
Yeah.
There was also, I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it until the reactions. I saw some people reacting to it. We had the guy from Black Widow in this movie.
I was like,
catch that?
I didn't know who he was when we watched it. When I watched it, I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to know who this guy is, but he doesn't look familiar. And then it took me until like later on today in the day to figure out. They were like, oh, that's the guy from Black Widow. I was like, oh yeah, I remember him.
I saw some people posting like images of him, and I scrolled past because I was like, oh, I don't want to see that. And they came up and he had the scene. I was like, yeah,
hey guy, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, but I guess he did do the whole plane thing, right? In the first one, so that makes sense. That was a fun little cameo.
Yeah,
doesn't affect anything.
No, but nice little Easter egg there.
Mm-hmm. We also had Despero in this episode from The Flash. I don't know if you recognize.
I didn't catch him. No, wait, where was he?
He was the guy where Olivia Colman's character like shot him inside the head, and he turned into
that was him. Okay. Tony
yeah,
Curran. I
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, is that him? And I looked on.
Interesting.
IMDb.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even pick that up. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, I was shocked. I caught it. Usually, people on Twitter have to be like, "That's him." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know." I also thought they kind of brought up a funny, I guess, an interesting topic where like there's technically no rules or laws about like killing aliens and stuff. Like you could go through and kill a Skrull, and I guess you wouldn't get arrested, right? Because it's not a law, right? Is that how that works?
I mean that was the justification in the episode, so.
I find that to be like just an interesting topic to think about. Like, what are the morals?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like honestly, post Secret Invasion, we'll definitely have to have Skrulls being very much so like kind of, brought into to society, living in harmony, kind of like Power Rangers SPD style, where just they're all living together, they're all having a great time.
It's topics like that why I want a She-Hulk season 2 is like that'd be such a concept.
Oh, that would be great. Is she just like defends like a Skrull like Skrull clients and stuff like that?
Yeah,
and they're like
they can just kill me.
Oh, this person's like an alien from another planet. Like what?
Can I shoot him?
It's like
he was on my property. Can I shoot him with a shotgun?
Just because he's a green shape-shifting alien doesn't mean he's not a person too.
That's really what I wanted more from She-Hulk, I think, because I wanted just like to explore the law part of it and like the superhero law.
Yeah.
If you get a season 2, I want more of that. Like I want to see the ins and outs of what makes superheroes different than humans. And I think that concept
that'd be a lot of fun.
Be really funny.
Yeah.
And make it very meta. Like it's a very meta show, so make it very fun and meta. And but yeah, that's about all I have for this episode. It was a very short episode, very condensed, not much to really talk about until next week, where I think we'll have
a lot of setup.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, so if we want to get into our final topic, or one of the final, I know we gotta get through this stuff, and that's my adventures with Superman. So I'm very excited because we haven't really got much of a chance to talk about this on the pipeline yet.
Yeah.
Episode 1 came out and we did a really short stream. It was very frustrating because I was like, all right, it's good. All right, let's move on. Let's get out of here. But kind of starting from, I guess, scratch a little bit because we didn't get much chance to talk about it. And episode 3 came out Friday. I mean, how are you just kind of feeling about the show as a whole?
I'm loving this show a lot. Like I did a fun video talking about the first 3 episodes, and just kind of like breaking those down and everything. And I'll kind of give the general idea of that here is just I love the animation style. It's obviously an anime inspired animation style. Something that was actually pretty funny. My dad pointed out it looks very much so like Speed Racer, the old Speed Racer cartoons, and I didn't pick up on that, but it is very, very similar to that. But I love the world building that they've done. I love the fact that this is a, year 1 Superman. He's exploring his powers. He's unlocking new abilities. He's learning about his Kryptonian heritage. And then, he's friends with Jimmy Olsen. They're roommates. And then he gets to meet Lois. And then we're seeing the building blocks of that classic relationship and everything like that, and I'm just excited. This show is so fun. I'm just smiling the entire time. It it is Superman, and that's all you can really hope for.
Yeah, no, I think everything about the show just feels like they love Superman. And to like bring this up, like this, it definitely reminds me of a lot of like modern Disney Channel. I know you're not big on Disney, but I think Disney Channel has really cracked the code when it comes to a lot of their modern animated stuff, where a lot of your Gravity Falls, a lot of your Amphibia, a lot of your Owl House are very much it's clearly for kids, right? That's who they're aiming for, but they don't really they don't bend down to the kids' standards, right? They tell some of these more mature and fun stories that they know everyone will love. And that's the kind of stuff I loved as a kid. I think I really would have loved the show as a kid, because it doesn't feel like it's bending down to the child audience.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because it's like it's on Adult Swim, but it feels like this could have been a show that aired on Cartoon Network. Like alongside Young Justice or something like that.
Well, yeah, 100%. And even Cartoon Network, I don't know how in New York, Cartoon Network, a lot of their stuff now is almost geared to like, I won't say babies, but like the toddler,
a much younger audience. Yeah,
Titans Go and your We Bear Babies and stuff like that. And it seems like, I almost wonder if that's why this went to Adult Swim. It's like, all right, we're keeping that younger audience. Now let's put Adult Swim for
it's a little bit more of a sophisticated show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want Cartoon Network to get back to a place that I love, and I know that's hard to say because I know I'm not the like demographic. I don't want to take things away from a younger audience, but also like I think about things I grew up on, like just like Ben 10 alone was such a mature show for its time, and you're like Generator Rex, and I know it's not Cartoon Network, but you have your like Danny Phantoms, and like I would love for this upcoming generation to have those type of shows again. I think it's like those are shows that like defined who I was, and I wish somewhat like kids now had those type of shows, which is
I just love how this is very much so a Superman show that is geared for a very wide audience, kids and adults alike. It doesn't alienate one side of the fandom or the other, and it very much so is just a show that just so happens to be animated as well, and they lean into that, the freedoms and the inspiration that you can get with that animation style, and that leaves the door open for some very cool action sequences, some very unique visuals and everything like that. And I just love this show so much, and I can't wait for more episodes week to week.
Yeah, same. No, it's such a fun show. Just a fun, I've been watching them on Saturdays just because I would kind of, that'd be fun to have this
Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, like get up in the morning on a Saturday, put it on, and it has that perfect feeling. Like I want to just sit down, get a bowl of cereal, and have fun with this Superman show. So diving into episode 3 a little bit, I need to change my page. I'm still on Secret Invasion. I was like, what's happening this week? And I'm not even close.
Superman fights a Skrull.
Who would win, Gaia or Superman?
Definitely Superman.
No, I mean, this was our big I think it was called My Interview with Superman, which was a lot of fun. Reminded me of the Superman and Lois episode where Lois gets to interview Superman, which is one of my favorite scenes in that show. And I love just the kind of the double life, and I feel like there's not a lot of like double life shows anymore, where like one guy has to balance his very like Hannah Montana, where one man is superstar and superhero, or whatever. So him balancing, like, my fan's running, it's turning my page on my notebook. But no, like he has to balance being like a reporter but also being Superman, but having to balance these two in such a fun way. I feel like we haven't seen that in a while, not from Superman Lois, not Man of Steel. It's fun seeing the like reporter part first, and then Superman comes out to play. Yeah,
I love that, and just the fact also that he has to, try very hard to hide it from Lois and Jimmy. He's just like making up all these excuses, doing all these things. Is like, what would Superman think? I don't know. I don't know who that guy is. Yeah, but it's fun. It's great, and I think that we're going to get to a point where he's going to have to tell them at some point. Like, even if you look at the way that the intro is played out, like, they're together with Clark as he transforms into Superman. Like, they're gonna find out eventually, and they're gonna, try to have to, form this big old Superman team. And then I wonder if they'll just like kind of do a funny throwaway about like the ethics of like reporting on yourself.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun. I almost wonder if, because I think often with these animated shows, you kind of like when you like, all right, you have 20 episodes and then run with it. And that's season 1, season 2. I wonder if you'll spend the first half, the first season, where he does have to hide it, and then the back half, season 2, is like, oh, now they know, and now they have to deal with that. And I know he's in the intro, but I feel like that's a thing a lot of animated shows do, or like they put things that happen throughout the entire season in
right
thing, and it's like we're 20 episodes in and that still hasn't happened. So I could see that maybe being a thing.
Yeah, I think this is one of those intros that's specifically made as an intro. Like I don't think any of that stuff in the intro is something that will necessarily see one-to-one translated into the show itself. I think that's just a representation of what the show is. Just Superman or Clark, Lois, Jimmy, and then fighting this big team up of villains, whether that be Task Force X, Intergang, a combination of both of them, led by Deathstroke. There's also all the seeds planted and stuff for some sort of invasion as well. So possibly setting up, I know there's a rumor that Brainiac is going to show up at some point.
We know.
I know there's
for that.
There's a rumor about Supergirl popping up as well. So
that'd be kind of interesting. I feel like that's very early for Supergirl, especially if
I think like if they introduce her for like season 2, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. I'm down with Supergirl. I'm down for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the intro for sure. Like, I could see a world where they showed a certain set of like these like animators, and there's like, all right, here's what the characters look like. Here's the villains. Make an intro surrounding them, right, and throw it in.
Right.
I could definitely see something like that. But we met our villains of the week. We had Intergang, a very different version of Intergang that at least I'm used to. And kind of our the leader of that group was Silver Banshee, which I like, with like both Livewire and Silver Banshee, two not unknown Superman villains, but I feel like they aren't like the upfront ones. Like they're not Zod, they're not, Lex Luthor, they're not Brainiac. Like these are kind of more of your street level type Superman villains. I think it's been a lot of fun to see. How are you feeling about this version of Silver Banshee and also just the Intergang group, I guess?
I liked him. I think it was fun. I think you brought it up on Party Nation yesterday, was the fact that we're doing like villains of the week is very fun. Yeah. So I think that I like this formula so far. And I have a feeling like we're going to get like one or two villains or a group of villains each week. And that's going to kind of build to this like Infinity Gauntlet team that Slade and Amanda Waller are putting together of like your Superman all-star villains, and then they're gonna face off against them by the end of the season.
I would honestly find it to be kind of fun because I think we'll see, because Intergang is usually a much larger thing. I was almost wondering if they call the Suicide Squad like Intergang, whereas like it's like, what did you used to call yourselves? Intergang, I like it, and that's like that's their name.
Yeah.
Especially if they're all like technology-based type villains.
Right, that's also very interesting as well. It's like some of these characters that are usually like metahumans are more so technology-based or villains, which is very interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, with Livewire, I thought, okay, maybe she starts off with like the tech, but then she accidentally gets her regular powers in some freak accident later on. But now that we have Silver Banshee also doing technology, maybe not. I don't know.
I do also have another theory. So we're assembling this team, right? And it seems like they're assembling this team to fight Superman or find Superman, but this was already in motion before Superman appeared. So maybe this whole invasion threat with Brainiac is something that Amanda Waller was already aware of, and then she sent Slade Wilson out to collect this team, this Suicide Squad, if you will, to then face off to then face off against Brainiac. I think, and maybe the reason why they're after Superman is because they want him to join this squad.
I just thought of another theory as you were making that theory. That's a really good theory.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, what if we already have Supergirl and they're after Supergirl, but now he's popped up. He's like, well, there's another one. We gotta take on.
They fly now.
Maybe, I don't know. No, I mean that's definitely a really good theory. Like especially if we set up Brainiac for season 2, like maybe they go after him and they kill them all. Maybe that's too dark for adults.
Yeah, I don't know how dark they're gonna end up taking this show. Like it's very bright and hopeful so far, and I really love that. And I hope that they keep that tone going forward. Like obviously we're gonna get our big old action sequences and stuff like that, but I think they're not gonna go too dark and kind of keep that like brighter tone going forward.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I would love to see Cartoon Network. You know, I know it's on Adult Swim now, but it was supposed to be Cartoon Network. I would have loved to have seen them aim for something darker. Like for a while, it felt like maybe Cartoon Network was heading to a place that could be more mature again. Like we had Superman was announced, Batman was announced, the like total drama show was coming back. You had like Gumball coming back, you had Powerpuff Girls coming back, more mature shows. You even had rumors of like a new Ben 10 show, which is typically on the darker side, not darker, but known for keeping its serious tones and styles. Like even like the classic series had its dark moments besides the reboot, right? So I kind of felt like we were moving in a place where like, okay, like Cartoon Network's back, this is really cool. But now it seems like we're going backwards. So I don't know.
I think that like darker tone for the animated series is going to be reserved for that Batman Caped Crusader series for Amazon,
which fits Amazon really well.
Which fits it very well, yeah, exactly. So I think we're going to keep our nice lighter tone here, and again, it's also not just airing on Adult Swim but also Max the next day. So yeah, I think keeping that lighter tone works for this show, especially for the character of Superman. And then do your darker Batman series off on Amazon.
You know what else I'll say though? I'll say season 1 and 2. I think you're right. It might be kind of on the lighter side. Maybe you don't say die or kill or something, right? But now that they know it's on Adult Swim and Max instead of Cartoon Network, maybe if you come back for season 3 and 4, you could get darker because the audience is pulling in. Because I feel like most of the audience now isn't your 7-year-olds. Now it's like these 30-year-olds who love Superman, right? So I could see a scenario like that where it suddenly gets a lot. I don't want it to be dark because I think the drama is it's light, but you can adapt darker themes, right?
Yeah, I'm just not sure how a big tonal shift like that would go, especially with the crowd that's seemed to be behind this. Is like that's kind of the big reason why everybody seems to like it, is the fact that it is that lighter, much more hopeful, like very much so embodying the characteristics of Superman and just kind of exemplifying those in a series.
Sure, I don't want it to become dark. Like that's
I understand.
I guess I would say maybe serious tones. Like could they
or more mature? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't want the tone to change because I think even Superman matures as he gets older. Like he is learning who he is. When he starts out, it is going to be super cheerful and fun. But like maybe one day he'll fight Darkseid, and that I don't think we'll do that. But like it could be over.
We'll get to Justice League, Dark Apocalypse War Superman.
Sure, I don't know. I am enjoying it though. I love how this show understands. Just feels like it understands Superman. So throughout the episode, Lois, Jimmy, Clark, they're trying to find information about this like inner gang group. I thought the scene where Lois steals the badges from Cat Grant and Steve Lombard, which those were very much, I know everyone's saying it, but they were very much like Team Rocket type types from like Pokemon. Very out there, very crazy. I thought they were fun, but like she just steals their badges. They break into this like federal prison, right?
Yeah, I think it was strikers.
Yeah, no, like Lois is a criminal now. They're
Lois will definitely do whatever it takes for the story. Lois will definitely do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. I love the fight scene in this episode. Where they have this giant like ice machine and it's going berserk. I thought the sequence with his like heat vision was really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just the fact that he was kind of developing or just unlocking new powers the more he understands about his heritage. I think that that's very cool. Is like he'll just constantly be powering up as we go through the series.
Yeah, Miata talks about Smallville. Just feels like Smallville, and it does. Yeah, it feels like those early season 1, season 2 days of Smallville with him slowly learning to control his powers, and just like teenage Clark with, slowly figuring out who he is, I guess. We talked about it a little bit, but he keeps seeing these visions of like robots and like machines, and he doesn't quite know what they are. And I like that a lot. I know Jack Quaid, who had talked about what the show was and how like he was doing promo for the show, and he had mentioned how it starts off very episodic, and then it slowly becomes more serialized, which I am very excited for. I think they're doing a really good job. Like, oh yeah, these are your villains of the week, but he's got these visions, and Lois is like, I think he's lying, and they're very much setting up where it doesn't, to me at least so far, it doesn't feel so episodic because they are building on to other things.
Oh yeah, no, it feels like your classic cartoon formula, right? Is like you have your villain of the week kind of standalone episodes, but there's still just this underlying through line with the series, and we're gonna get more towards that as we continue to progress in the season.
Yeah, very Power Rangers, where like they would send their villains down, but the big threat's still out there.
The big threat's still out
we'll
there.
We'll get them next time, or whatever,
Exactly.
We got a little tease of Slade at the end with him going into the prison, obviously collecting probably Silver Banshee, probably their whole group as well, I assume.
Most likely. Recruiting them for the squad.
And then kind of end the episode with probably one of my favorite scenes in the show so far, which was just the Lois and Superman conversation. And he comes in and he's like, if you were willing to save your life for all these people, I can come and give you a interview. I thought that was really cute. And just like the bits of like her asking him questions, like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Where do your powers come from? Where do you come from?
No idea. He's like, I'm here. I'm helping people. I'll be there if you need me. I thought it was so cute. And just, I love the like back and forth between this Clark and Lois. Like they're so flirty. Like it's so endearing to watch. These two characters fall in love for the first time, and fall in love with both characters as well. Fall in love with, obviously she has it's very different, right? Because it seems like she has a very apparent crush on Superman, right? Like she's blushing all over Superman and stuff, but also she has this hidden Clark, or she has this hidden love for Clark as well.
Well, I mean, I think it's important that she showed interest in Clark first before Superman even appeared. So I think that's a fun direction that they're taking it.
Yeah, I mean, I love just kind of the difference, like the way she acts around Superman and Clark. Like she's very like professional. Like I'm very flustered with Superman, and Clark comes in and says, "Oh, I'm glad you're okay, buddy," and very like, "I'm sorry for everything I've done." And,
yeah, I mean, I just feel like maybe more so her angle with Superman is just the story.
Yeah.
And then obviously with Clark, it's very much so that relationship building type of thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cute. And then the ending where she's like, "But he's a liar," and I was like, "Oh no!"
Clark's like, "What did I do?"
Which is, I feel again, it's very different than like what you would expect Lois's reaction to be. Like normally she'd be like, "He's amazing and he's wonderful and I have to protect him." And here she's like, "No, he's a liar and I will further."
Like, I'll get to the truth. I'll get to the bottom of the story. Don't worry.
It's such a cute show. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Normally, they have been releasing promos, and normally what we would used to do is we would show the promos, but I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're showing the promos today.
Yeah, it's very quick. It just kind of it doesn't show off too much. It's just another villain of the week. There's some party going on, and Superman's gonna be Superman again.
Yep. I thought I remembered something from the trailer, like a villain that I remembered, but I forget now.
It was like this purple dude.
Who did people say they thought it was? Deadshot? Is that what people said?
Or
Bloodsport? Maybe. Bloodsport? Sportsmaster? I don't know.
Whoever Idris Elba's character was in
that's
the Suicide Squad. Yeah, Bloodsport. Yeah, I think that's who it's supposed to be.
Okay. I'm down. Maybe they'll put him inside the hospital. It's canon to the DCU.
And then we'll see Peacemaker.
Parasite? No, it's not Parasite.
No,
it's not Parasite.
No, Parasite would be a lot more.
Yeah,
like, be a lot more like monstrous, not kind of.
I mean, unless he becomes Parasite later on.
Yeah, maybe it's like mechanized Parasite.
Yeah. Where he
kind of looks like a Transformer, actually.
Yeah,
looks like Starscream.
With that being said, though, I bet we'll do Parasite at some point. Parasite
feels
like a villain they would want to cover.
That would be fun.
Definitely. Alrighty, guys. All that being said, let's move into our question of the week segment. For everyone has stuck with us. I thank you so much, because we are heading on 3 hours, and we still got a couple minutes here. You guys sent in a lot of responses last week.
We'll probably hit that 3 hour mark.
We're hitting that 3 hour mark. Yeah. I'll try and go through these as fast as I possibly can. We'll speed round them.
Channel the Speed Force.
So last week I asked you guys, what DC character would you want to see as part of the original Justice League lineup that we don't normally see? So I didn't want no Supermans. I didn't want no Wonder Womans or Batmans or Martian Manhunters, or even your classic like I almost said Han Solo. all that jazz. I didn't want to see any of those guys, but let's read what you guys had to say. Follow Back says, I think Vixen. And Vixen, that would have been my answer. I had said I think Vixen as part of like the original 7 at some point would be really fun, very different than we've ever seen before.
Yeah, that could be a fun character to see pop up on a founding member roster.
Yeah, I think I like when I did my pitch for like what my future of the DCU was, 4 or so months ago, she was one of the first projects I had pitched, as I think that would have been a really cool movie to do. Ned Line says Zatanna. I would be down with Zatanna. Feel like she doesn't get enough love. She needs something, y'all. She needs a movie, a show, something.
Yeah, Zatanna is on my list. I have a list of 7. So I'll go through those once we're through everybody's responses.
Sounds good. Yeah. Jaw Chen says Red Tornado, which is another fun one. I like Red Tornado. I put him in this thing right here. I don't know about founding 7, but like I feel like he's a good like 8 or 9, where like he's not part of the original, but he comes right after,
Yeah.
But I'd be okay with it, depending on what the rest of the lineup looked like. 2 Cheesecakes says Ted Kord, Blue Beetle, and weirdly enough, I could see this in like the DCEU, maybe. Depending, I guess it depends when the Justice League, like, are they already established? And if so, I could see them maybe having him already on the team, right? And then later on, we get our new Blue Beetle, right?
Yeah. I mean, I maybe if we like get flashbacks to maybe say like old school JSA stuff. If we're doing like JSAs in the past,
would be a good spot.
But yeah, I think it's much more likely that Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle will be a founding member of the Justice League, which could be very fun.
I would be down. Gumph says Black Canary all the way, and I would love Black Canary. I think either Black Canary or Green Arrow or both could be a fun founding member, depending on how large your team is. I bet I won't even dive into Green Arrow yet because I assume someone's going to say it, but I think they'd be really cool. A bunch of people, JT and Anthony, both said Supergirl. I like the idea of Supergirl in the founding 7, but I almost like when there's a contrast with characters. So would it be too much to have Supergirl and Superman? Or in this lineup, do you not have Superman at all and it's just Supergirl, which would be an interesting Elseworlds probably.
Yeah, I mean, I took this as kind of I'm making a Justice League without the core Trinity.
Okay.
So that was kind of my approach for it. So I had kind of fill-in characters, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
So yeah, I think I have a fun list.
A lot of Zatannas, love to see it. Georgie says Batwoman. She is my favorite, so I need her in everything. Yeah, I mean, especially if we're talking about like a bat, like an Elseworld where there's no Batman. Batwoman could be cool. Maybe it takes place after
which version of Batwoman though?
Yeah, maybe it takes in a world where Batman's dead or something, and they need a Bat person in their lineup.
That would be fun.
Our Entertainment says Green Arrow, even though in the Arrowverse he was a big part in the founding of the Justice League, in the movies I haven't seen him show up as a founding member. I'd like to see him be a founding member in the DCU Justice League. Yeah, no, I honestly I would really want, like, in the DCU, I honestly really want Green Arrow. My only thing against it is I know maybe having Green Arrow and Batman's a bit much, these two kind of grounded characters, but I think it would make a really new, interesting version of the Justice League. I think Green Arrow, I want him to be front and center in what we do next.
And I think if you do comic book Green Arrow, not
Oliver,
not derivative of Batman Green Arrow, not that there's anything against the CW version, but that was obviously very much so their stand-in for Batman because they could not use Batman. They gave him a lot of Batman's rogues gallery, especially with a lot of the League of Assassins stuff. But I think if we very much so differentiate Green Arrow from Batman and make him like, kind of quippy, fun Green Arrow, that is kind of where you want to go with him.
Yeah. 100%. I still feel like there are still a lot of similarities, right? So there's
like,
the like billionaire playboy, but they're also like a vigilante, and they have a team of other vigilante. That's how.
And there's a whole like Green Arrow family now. If you saw like that cover for the Green Arrow revival for Green Arrow #1, like that, like he's got basically a Bat family of his own. So
absolutely. Elo Scotch Johnson, hope I pronounced that name right, said Mr. Marigold, which, I think that's one of those characters where I know of them, but don't ask me any trivia of them because I cannot give you an answer. Is that
because we didn't get the New Gods movie.
Oh, no. By creator of Naomi. Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to see Mr. Marigold. I feel like they're coming. I think a lot of your Mr. Terrific, your Mr. Marigold, some of those small scale heroes that we don't see a lot are coming soon. So
yeah.
Keep your eyes out for that. Josh Gordon says Plastic Man, bonus points if it's animated, and Dana Snyder voices him again. No disrespect to Tom Kenny, but I prefer Dana as Plastic Man. Plastic Man would be a fun choice. Just in even like your classic team up with your Superman and your Batmans. I think Plastic Man could be a fun comic relief type character. Maybe instead of your Flash, like if you don't have Flash there, maybe it could be Plastic Man instead. Could be a fun lineup.
Could be. I mean, I think I would more so say he would probably be like a random side character in some project, not a founding Justice League member. But there's definitely room for him to pop in there at some point.
I would not be surprised if he's in Legacy. Actually, that's one of those.
That would be funny.
Yeah, I could see that. And ending it with Joel, who says Batgirl, classic Batgirl.
Yes.
It was Batwoman, kind of. Not same character, but like same role on the team, I guess.
Kind of filling that Bat role, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so you had thought out a whole like team, right? A whole team.
Yeah. So I have a list here. I have a whole list of 7. Okay. Green Arrow, Supergirl, Blue Beetle, Firestorm, Black Canary, Green Lantern, John Stewart, and Zatanna.
Zatanna. Kind of cheating with Jon Stewart a little bit, though. Just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'll take it, though, because I love I love Jon Stewart.
Because you got to have a Green Arrow and a Green Lantern.
What about Guy Gardner?
He might die in Superman Legacy.
Do you think so?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past James Gunn to just bring him in and be like, this is the random Green Lantern that nobody cares about. We're just gonna kill him.
Do you cast like Nathan Fillion though?
Yeah, but just for a joke. Like they're buddies, so I mean he could find another role for him. Didn't he kill him in the Suicide Squad as well?
I didn't remember he was in that. I'll be honest. I completely forgot.
He was the arms fall off guy.
Oh. Yeah, I mean probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died.
He probably died in that.
Pretty sure he died in that.
I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, maybe. I kind of want Guy around though a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you at least have him be in Lanterns at least for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Don't kill him off immediately. So.
Give him 2 projects.
But I think actually very interestingly though, we're building towards like that Justice League Unlimited roster. So it'll most likely be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and then a Flash. And, maybe your Aquaman if you want to bring him over or something like that.
Yeah, because you have Superman. We know Superman's coming. We know Jon Stewart's coming. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The only one that's a slight outlier is Wonder Woman because we don't really know of anything outside of that, Themyscira project that's not even based in present day. So, but
yeah, that's an outlier for me.
You can't really do a Justice League without Wonder Woman. Like you need that core trinity. Like that's kind of like the mainstay is like that's where you build your Justice League off of. It's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then you build the team around them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would actually not be shocked if we do 2 Lanterns. If we do both John and Hal.
I think two Lanterns on the team at a time might be a little repetitive, a little much.
It might be, but I could also see it working.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or Martian Manhunter. That was the other one I forgot about.
I want Martian Manhunter too. Yeah,
because you can't have 2 lanterns instead of having a second instead of having a second lantern, you have Martian Manhunter. So Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Jon Stewart, Hawkgirl, Martian Manhunter, and Flash. Wally West.
Basic, but I like it.
Yeah, well, that's the Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
Thing. That's what I'm thinking is going to be our lineup for James Gunn's universe, especially now that he cast a version of Hawkgirl. Like, and the fact that he's saying that they're, building off of Justice League quite a bit, or the Justice League Unlimited.
Sure. I would swap out Hawkgirl for just one other one because something a little like I pitched Vixen as like your number 7. I think that would
be fun.
Or like Zatanna or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Hawkgirl honestly fits maybe better as a JSA character rather than a Justice League character.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. So for next week's question, this one is going to be, I'll actually probably, if you're here next week, Taz, I'll have you lead this discussion.
Okay.
So with so much, we talked a little bit about Star Wars today and potential of Finn coming back. I asked you very simply, what's your favorite Star Wars character?
Oh.
What's your favorite? It has to be one. Has to pick one. You have my boy Jar Jar over there, so.
I love that Jar Jar buff.
New York Yoda. Tomorrow I'll post this over on my YouTube, on my Instagram, on Threads, on the YouTube community tab, and I'll try to gather them all up to talk about them with y'all next week.
My favorite Star Wars character is the Gonk droid.
Sexy Jar Jar for me.
But is he a Sith Lord?
No. Guys, thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us. Let me give a shout out to people in the chat. Miata, you've been here for almost 3 hours. Love you, girl. Thank you. One Marvel fan, Stranger. Travis was here for a little bit. We saw Hero's Journey over here. We saw this weirdo pop in for a little bit. I didn't get to say hi to Flash Freak. Sorry, Flash Freak. We had some Chainsaw Reacts earlier. We had some fun people pop in and say hi to us. Taz, what are you working on? Do you have any big projects you want to promote?
Yeah, I've actually got a fun nostalgic one coming up later this week. If you guys are into Call of Duty as much as I am, you might have heard that Microsoft actually revived the old Call of Duty servers over on the Xbox 360. I went back and played some Black Ops 2 for the first time in quite a while, so I've got a fun video in the works talking about that. And then I will be working on my Ahsoka trailer breakdown afterwards, because I thought, this Call of Duty thing is fresh, it's popping right now, and Ahsoka doesn't come out for a little while, so that trailer breakdown can wait. So I think that'll be fun.
Absolutely. Very excited. I know nothing about Call of Duty, but we will be tuning in. I'll check it out. From me, I should have some kind of video, like regular video, not just clips from the pipeline coming out. Something coming out. I'll probably have something. But next week's episodes, right now, obviously I don't know what my work schedule is yet, how we're gonna plan it, but me and Taz should be back next Wednesday to talk about Secret Invasion, the series finale, season end series finale, Comic-Con next week. And I know it's not as exciting as it normally would be, but hopefully we'll still get some tidbits of news and all that fun stuff. And I'm planning, I don't know when it's going to happen, if it'll be early in the week, end of the week, if the following week, I don't know, but we are planning to do a Barbieheimer video or something, whatever works best for people I want to bring on. Buddy over from the Tackle Stream channel said he wants to pop in. My buddy Everest said he might want to pop in. My friend Braden said he might want to pop in. So it'll hopefully be a party, a Barbieheimer party, if you will. Comes out tomorrow here. So if anyone is interested, go Barbieheimer it all up. It'll be a good time. Taz, any final words before we get out of here? Your name is in the title now.
Yeah. What will you be watching first, Oppenheimer or Barbie? There is only one correct viewing order.
Barbieheimer. I just said the same word.
So you'll be watching Barbie first.
Both at the same time. No, Barbie. No. It has to be Oppenheimer.
Yeah, you gotta watch Oppenheimer first to get all the craziness out of the way, get your senses completely just obliterated in IMAX, and then you just chill, relax, watch Barbie.
Absolutely, it's gonna be a great time. Come on, Barbie, let's go party.